Chris Berman. From all of us here at ESPN, happy Easter to you and happy opening night. Opening night and Easter, boy, it makes that horrible winter that so many of us have lived through seem like it's long, long gone, doesn't it? Spring officially here. So baseball is back, and baseball at ESPN is back, and we're thrilled about it. Whether it's our Sunday night game of the week, our Wednesday night doubleheaders, or our baseball tonight, sometimes going to be seen twice nightly, we continue to be your daily pulse for the national pastime. 1994, it's going to be a year of change in Major League Baseball. 2 new divisions, a new playoff format, 2 new ballparks in Cleveland and in Texas. Actually, 3 new parks. Shan-Ho Park in Los Angeles. And tonight is new. Opening night. And fittingly, it's in the home of the oldest professional baseball team, the Cincinnati Reds. After tonight, either the Reds or the St. Louis Cardinals will be 1-0. The only team in baseball to say that, and that's kind of exciting. What's more exciting is seeing a rebirth of a rivalry. 2 great baseball towns, Cincinnati and St. Louis. Their teams now back together in the same division for the first time in over a quarter century. So, as we get set to say hello to our Sunday night friends, John Miller and Joe Morgan, somehow everything seems right with the world, doesn't it? Baseball is back. All right, it's back, 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 back. And as a philosopher much wiser than yours truly once said, now it's time to let's play ball.
Now from Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, it's the season premiere of ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. Tonight, it's the St. Louis Cardinals with the Wizard, Ozzie Smith, taking on the Cincinnati Reds and Barry Larkin. It's the Sunday Night Baseball game of the week. He is going to try and score. Griffin's relay. Sosha drops the ball. Broken bat, look out! The bat hit the ball! There's a drive. It's a home run! A 3-run homer for Bonilla. Down the left field line. Got him at home. The game is over. You're looking at the center of the baseball world, at least for this one night, because Major League Baseball 1994 all begins right here at Riverfront Stadium, Cincinnati. Sunday Night Baseball, it's the Cardinals and the Reds. Well, it feels like New Year's here. It's cold. I'm John Miller along with Joe Morgan. Happy New Year to you, because for a baseball fan and people in baseball, there's nothing like opening day to be a true New Year filled with high hopes, a clean slate, and a feeling that you're going to do better. And both of these ball clubs would like to do better. Now, one thing, being in this new division, the Central Division, both ball clubs have a great shot at winning a title better than before. And tonight, we're going to see one of the reasons that the Reds have a shot at it, because Jose Rijo, their starter tonight, is one of the very best pitchers in the National League.
Well, not only is he one of the best pitchers, he leads the league in strikeouts. He is a true power pitcher. But unlike most power pitchers, his best pitch is not his fastball. It's his slider. And that slider was taught to him by Pascual Perez. So he uses the slider when he's behind, unlike a lot of power pitchers.
All right. Now, he is the ace of the Reds, and the ace of the Cardinals is going to go tonight, Bob Tewksbury. He was a 17-game winner last year. However, he and Rijo, boy, they go about it in the direct opposite fashion. Rijo, a hard thrower. Tewksbury, a soft tosser. Tewksbury, a guy who likes to make him hit it to the ground. Rijo with all of those strikeouts, and yet they both seem to win a lot of ball games.
Well, the reason that Tewksbury wins is he lets you get yourself out. He does not walk a lot of hitters. Therefore, he gives up a lot of hits. Opponents hit 301 against him last year. But you've heard of control pitchers. He is the control pitcher, the best control pitcher in the National League. You have to go back 30 years to find someone with the control of Bob Tewksbury.
Now, when you think Cardinals, you always think of the Wizard, Ozzie Smith, one of the greatest shortstops, maybe the greatest shortstop of all time. But here in Cincinnati, they think that Barry Larkin right now has passed him by.
Well, it depends on who you talk to, who's the best. Whether you talk to the Cardinals, they say Ozzie Smith is still the best. But again, the contrast in styles. They call Ozzie Smith the Wizard because he's very flashy. they call Barry Larkin Mr. Consistent because he gets to everything, makes all the throws, has the most range of any shortstop in the National League.
It'll be fun to watch him out there tonight. Now, with the Reds, with a hope to win, they need a big year and a healthy year from former MVP Kevin Mitchell.
John, I believe all the pressure of this ball club is on Kevin Mitchell, simply because last year Chris Sabo led this team in home runs. He's gone. The only real power threat on this ball club is Kevin Mitchell. If Kevin Mitchell comes through, they can win the division. If he falls on his face, so will the Reds.
All right, and it all begins here tonight, Sunday Night Baseball. It's opening night for Major League Baseball. Down in the field now, we got the first pitch ceremony with the new president of the National League, Leonard Coleman.
First pitch on behalf of Major League Baseball and the National League. Please give a great big Cincinnati round of applause to the newly elected president of the National League, Leonard S. Coleman, Jr.
So important when you throw that first pitch not to bounce it in. So Leonard Coleman off to a good start in his tenure as National League president. The umpires are heading to home plate, and we're heading toward the first pitch. We'll be right back. ESPN's Sunday Night Baseball is brought to you by the more than 800 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the right parts at the right price. By Rude Scroll Compressors, the reason you should rely on Rude for your next air conditioner. And by Budweiser, Beechwood aged for a crisp, clean, classic taste. Happy Easter, everyone. There are the famed Sunday Night Baseball Easter Bunnies who travel with us each year at this holiday time. So happy Easter to you and yours. And for many of you, we know this was also the end of Passover tonight. We hope you had a blessed Passover season. And there's Joe Torre, who has high hopes for his Cardinals of 1994. And it all begins here tonight at Riverfront Stadium. Here's his batting order. Ray Langford, they're returning, hoping he'll return to form. He's in center field. Ozzie Smith is at shortstop, hitting second. Now an important man in that offense. Greg Jeffries is at first base, hitting third. Hit over 340 last year. Todd Zeile hits cleanup at third base, over 100 RBIs last year. Mark Whitten, right field, 99 RBIs a year ago. Gilkey in left field hitting sixth, and Luis Alicea hitting seventh at second base. Eric Pappas for the injured Pagnazzi, the catcher, and Bob Tewksbury is on the mound. And the pitcher for the Reds, of course, the ace of the staff, one of the very best around, is Jose Rijo.
And John, will be able to tell early if Jose Rijo is on. If he's throwing strikes with the slider, we will know that the Cardinals could be in for a long night. We'll also try to show you he throws two different types of sliders. One's a big breaking slider, the other a little hard, soft breaking slider.
Rijo in that final bit of concentrated emotion before the first pitch of the game. And here is Langford. And we're about to start this 1994 Major League Baseball season.
I'm excited.
Ball one. So the 94 season begins at 8:11 Eastern Daylight Time. Two-0. Langford back to the leadoff spot. He was so successful 2 years ago, they dropped him down in the order to an RBI type spot and had a great year. Right past him with a fastball, 2-1. But last year he had injury problems and just was in a slump all year long. And he's an important man with this Cardinal club. They need him to bounce back, hit around 300, hit his 20 home runs, and they should score a lot of runs if he does.
Well, John, they were expecting him to be the most valuable player, candidate from their ball club last year, although it was Greg Jeffries. But he got off to such a slow start, and then the injuries you talked about, he does have to bounce back.
The count count is full now. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
And we'll get our first look at Jose Rijo's slider here, I believe. Jose likes to throw the slider 3 and 2, especially the left-handed hitters.
Into deep left center field. Way back there. And this one is a home run. The first batter of the 1994 season. Ray Langford has hit the season's first home run.
Well, he should have thrown the slider. The fastball, and it was up and in the middle of the plate, and Langford hammered it over the left center field wall. Take a look at Jose Rijo's fastball, and again, he does not get it exactly where he wants it. No, that's a slider. It's spinning, but it's in the middle of the plate. Did not break.
Now here is Ozzie Smith, and he takes ball 1. 1 ball and no strikes to Ozzie Smith. Switch hitter. And there's ball 2. Well, when that slider comes in there like that, Joe, that's kind of like BP, isn't it?
Yes, it becomes a mediocre fastball.
2 balls and no strikes to Ozzie Smith. And there's 2 and 1. Well, on a cold night, and it's about 39 degrees right now, a little wind blowing. It'd be tough to grip that slider properly, can it? I mean, to get the feel for it. 2 and 2.
Good fastball there from Jose Rijo. But the one thing that he's not going to use probably as often as he would under normal circumstances is the forkball. He has a fastball, slider, and a forkball, but he doesn't think he can grip it as well tonight.
And it's a full count, 3 and 2. Again, it was 3 and 2 to Langford, and now 3 and 2 to Ozzie.
Slider.
And he got him. Strike 3 call.
The defense behind Jose Rijo this year will have to play better than it did last year in order for him to have a great year. We have Barry Larkin back from injuries, but he had a tough season last year. He was making a lot of errors early, just didn't get a chance to play a lot. And you got Tony Fernandez over at third base playing there for the first time in his career.
Or 10 years anyway.
Yeah.
And strike 1 to Greg Jeffries. Greg Jeffries picked up from the Royals last year, hit .342 back in the National League. There's ball 1. He hit 16 homers, 83 batted in. And he also was an excellent base stealer, stole 46 bases. That's foul. He's also a proud papa. He and his wife became parents 8 months ago. Jacob is the light of his life now. He said he spent the whole winter working out and playing around with Jacob. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Might have broken his bat in that one. And that's out number 2 is Brett Boone, the newly acquired second baseman for the Reds. Makes his first play as a Red.
And again, that's the slider that Jose Rijo uses so effectively against left-handed hitters. He struck Ozzie Smith out with the slider on a 3-2 pitch, and there's a slider to Greg Jeffries, and he gets him out in front. So we've had our first home run of the season and our first broken bat.
We're going for all the firsts here tonight. Here's Todd Z. And that's ball 1. I remember, I believe it was 1986. The Boston Red Sox opened the year, and on the very first pitch, Dwight Evans hitting leadoff hit a home run against Jack Morris. And it is now 1-1 to Zeal, and that proved to be a very good omen for the Red Sox that year because they went on to go to the World Series, only to lose to the Mets in the 7th game. The Cardinals would take similar success after Langford's leadoff homer. 2-1 the count now. Todd Zeal, remember just 2 years ago, was struggling so badly with the bat, he got sent out to the minor leagues for a while. Came back last year, drove in 103 runs. This is Larkin. And the Reds are headed to the plate now. Fernandez, Larkin, and Morris against Tewksbury, with the Cardinals out in front, 1-0. Morgan, Sunday Night Baseball, year 5. There's the Ohio River, and Riverfront Stadium is seen from over in Kentucky. And there's Davy Johnson kind of on the hot seat with this Reds ball club. Results are expected early, and he's had great success in the past. He had some great ball clubs over with the Mets. Well, here's the lineup that he's going to start in 1994, and he hopes to start it often because last year they just had injuries all the way through. Tony Fernandez, World Series hero for the Blue Jays, at third base. Barry Larkin at short. Hal Morris is at first. Kevin Mitchell, big things expected, hitting cleanup. Reggie Sanders, right field. Roberto Kelly, healthy again. He was an all-star last year. Brett Boone, 12 homers in half a year with the Mariners. Joe Oliver, the catcher, and hitting ninth, Jose Rijo for the Reds. And on the mound, the ace for the Cardinals, 33 wins the last 2 years. There's Bob Tewksbury.
Well, Bob Tewksbury features a fastball, a sinking fastball, curveball, a slider, and a change. And he has good command of all those pitches. But he uses the fastball mostly, the sinking fastball, to try to get a lot of ground balls.
Now, they'll be keeping a close eye on him because he had a little shoulder trouble the last 10 days or so of the spring. He pitched 5 days ago in a minor league game. Said it felt fine. And so he's able to make the start tonight. Now, it is cool here tonight. Cold, even. So Tewksbury blowing on his hand while on the mound. The umpires have to give special permission for a pitcher to do that. Obviously, they have. Now, that's what Fernandez did in all told last year between his time with the Mets and with the Toronto Blue Jays. But in Toronto, he hit over 300 after going back there. In only 94 games, he drove in 50 runs. He's a switch hitter. Always been a very fine hitter. Tewksbury. And the putout is recorded at first by Greg Jeffries, one away.
Well, the Cardinals infield will have to play well this year because their starting rotation is going to need them. You have Greg Jeffries over at first base, who switched there last year. They had 39 throwing errors on the infield from only 17 the year before. Some of it could be attributed to the fact that Jeffries is short for a normal for a first baseman.
Yeah, how come you never played first base, Joe?
Too short.
You hit like a first baseman. That's ball one to Barry Larkin. Now look at that, 315 average, 8 homers, 51 RBIs, but only in about 2/3 of a season or even less than that. Now they know Larkin, when he's healthy and able to play every day, is one of the great players in this league. And that's what they need. They need Larkin and Kelly and Mitchell and the big stars to be healthy most of the year.
Last year was his 5th straight season of hitting over 300.
He had Kelly, Larkin, Mitchell, and Morris. 4 key men, all hit over 300. And the most games played of any of those 4 players was 101 by Morris. Larkin played only 100. There you see it. They hit a combined 322, but between the 4 of them averaged only a little more than half a year. That's a foul out of play. And a souvenir back into the spectators here on Easter Sunday. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Larkin's main problem last year was a torn ligament in his left thumb. And I asked him before the game if that really bothered him this spring. Sometimes if you have an injury to your hand, you develop a hitch or you change your swing. He said he doesn't feel like he's had any effects from it this year.
2-2 to Larkin.
Larkin really likes the ball out over the plate so he can shoot it to right field.
He'll chase that low breaking ball, and that's what Tewksbury wants. He wants you to chase those pitches when he's got 2 strikes on him.
John, Tewksbury is the type of pitcher that when you're standing in the batter's box, everything he throws looks good to hit. That's why he doesn't walk a lot of hitters. You will get people chasing his pitches out of the strike zone because you think you can hit everything he throws.
Full count now, 3-2. 3-2 for a guy who rarely walks anybody. It's a headline when he walks somebody. 1 out, nobody on. This is Zeal. Nice play on the run with a perfect throw to Jeffries. 2 down.
This is a sinking fastball that he throws a lot, especially on 3-2 counts. He gets Larkin to chop it, but it's a very fine play by Zeal. Zeal had a very poor season defensively last year, and this might get him off to a good start this year. Nice play.
Last year when the season opened, this man was on the disabled list. Hal Morris, he's a perennial 300 hitter. 317 is where he finished last year. Never a whole lot of power. And that's one question for the Reds, and you brought it out in the beginning of the telecast about Kevin Mitchell's responsibilities to this club. They don't hit a lot of home runs other than Mitchell. Morris Morris certainly is not going to hit many.
John, when I look at their ball club and you try to evaluate where their offense is going to come from, they've really hurt themselves, in my opinion. When you put a hitter like Tony Fernandez at third base, your offense is supposed to come from your corners.
That's a high fly ball routine. That's Witten in right center. And the Reds are gone in order. 1, 2, 3. Mitchell left on deck. Mark Witten is coming up with Gilkey and Alicea behind him, and the Cardinals lead the Reds 1-0. Tony Fernandez takes his position over third base. Reds trailing the Cardinals 1-0. And here is Mark Witten. Mark Witten's got enormous power. 25 homers last year. 99 batted in. And had one of the greatest nights of any individual player in the history of this game right here in this ballpark last September, the last time the Cardinals made a trip to Cincinnati. And it may be another 50, 60 years before anybody has a game as good as he had again. 2 balls and 1 strike now, the count to Witten from Jose Rijo. Witten had 4 homers in a game, which has only been done a handful of times, and he had 12 RBIs in 1 game, which had only been done 1 other time. So let's go back now. September the 7th, right here, Riverfront Stadium, second game of a doubleheader. Here's number 1. Number 2. This is the third one in the 7th inning. The last one against Dibble. And that was the longest of all of them. What a shot. And meanwhile, 6 months later, got him swinging.
Well, the one thing to notice about all those home runs he hit that night, all of them were off the low pitches. Here we get a high fastball, which is the way to pitch Mark Witten. You get a hit of him in the count, you throw him high fastballs, and he has problems with that pitch. Very good low fastball hitter. This is Rijo's high fastball. That'll take you home every time.
Now Bernard Gilkey, the hitter, and he takes a called strike from Jose Rijo. Gilkey's turned into a real dependable performer. 305 last year, 16 homers, 70 driven in. Left center field, that's Roberto Kelly. And out number 2. 2 men gone. The Cardinals have 4 outfielders, and if Langford is truly back, Joe Torre thinks they have a shot to have the best outfield in the National League, with Gilkey in left, Langford in center, Witten in right, and Brian Jordan, who hit 300 last year and is probably a better outfielder than any of the other 3, and they're all pretty good. So he's got 4 excellent outfielders. The key, I guess, Joe, is to whether or not they're going to be a great outfielder is Langford coming back.
They have a lot of potential. They have the potential to be the best outfield in the league, but, you know, as they say, potential means you haven't done it yet.
Now, if you could play 4 outfielders at a time,
right,
they'd definitely be the best.
You're right.
Luis Alicea, look out. That'll back him out of there. Alicea, switch hitter, batting left-handed.
John, it's interesting that Alicea starts the season. Last year was Geronimo Pena was the guy that they thought was going to be their second baseman for the next 8 or 10 years. And Alicea is now their everyday second baseman.
Pena got hurt. Alicea got a chance to play and started putting together some big games out there. And was a little more dependable with the glove at second base. And here he is on opening night. A little bit high. 2-2. 1-0 Cardinals. By the way, Ray Langford leading off the season with the home runs. The first time a Cardinal has hit a home run in the opening inning of the first game of the year in 12 years. Darrell Porter was the last to do it in a year the Cardinals won a World Series, 1982, against Houston, opening day of '82. They beat the Brewers that year in the series. Strike 3 call with the high heat. 3 up and 3 down. That's 3 strikeouts for Rijo. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is brought to you by BMW, the ultimate driving machine. Nothing Cardinals here at Riverfront Stadium, Cincinnati. Sunday Night Baseball, 1994. We will be with you every Sunday night from here on, hopefully on warmer nights than this. 36 degrees. Feels like about 12 degrees as Kevin Mitchell takes a curve, low, ball 1. Hey, the skies are clearing, though. 9 miles an hour, the wind speed. Perfect baseball weather. There's a high foul and out of play. If Wayne Gretzky, I suppose, were playing baseball, this would be a perfect night for a ball game on skates. Kevin Mitchell, look at that, 341, 19 homers, 64 batted in, and he did all of that damage on a foot with a broken bone in only 93 games.
And he only had 323 at-bats, which equates to a little over half a season.
That's deep to right field, down the line. Extra bases. Whitten will keep him to a double. Hello, 1994 for at least a so far healthy Kevin Mitchell.
Well, Kevin Mitchell did not have many at-bats in the spring, but he hit well there. He's just someone that can walk to the plate and hit. This pitch is up and out over the plate, and he takes it down the right field line. You can see they were playing him to pull because he is basically a pull hitter. He hits the ball from left center on the right center. Very rarely will he hit a ball directly down the line as he did here.
I guess an indication also, though, as to why he, besides hitting home runs, usually hits around 300 or better.
He is a very good hitter. Hits breaking balls well, fastballs well, and all-speed pitches very well.
Now Reggie Sanders. Deep in the hole. Base hit! Ozzie was able merely to knock it down.
It's hard to argue with someone when they get a base hit, John, but that really doesn't serve a big purpose here. They needed for him to hit the ball to the right side to advance the runner from second base. He cannot advance here because the ball's hit in front of him, and it's a good play by Kevin Mitchell not to take off at third, because Ozzie would have come up with the ball and threw him out at third base, I guarantee it. But he does not advance the runner. You have to hit the ball to the right side in that situation.
Sanders last year, after Mitchell, the best home run hitter for the Reds, actually hit one more than did Mitchell. 20 homers, 83 RBIs. Now here is Roberto Kelly. He was an all-star last year, but then was on the disabled list almost the entire second half of the year.
He changed his name to Bobby. Bobby hit very well, but he didn't play many games. So now he's changed his name back to Roberto.
So they said, why are you back to Roberto? He said, well, Bobby Kelly was hurt all the time.
Yeah.
1 ball and no strikes to Roberto Kelly. 319 a year ago in half a season. That's a called strike. 2 men on, nobody out here in the second inning. There's Kevin Mitchell, who led off the inning with a double. He's at second, and Reggie Sanders is over at first with his infield single. Roberto Kelly, now he hit leadoff a good portion of last year when he was healthy. Now they've got him in a run-producing spot. Toward the middle and through. Base hit center field. Kevin Mitchell will score. Here comes the throw all the way through. Holding at first, Kelly. Down to third, Sanders, and it's tied up.
That's good base running there by Sanders. He could see that Langford was aiming toward the plate, and he just took off at third, and he made it easily. It's a good pitch by Tewksbury. The pitch is down. He gets the ground ball that he wants, but it's back through the box. Base hit to center field. Now watch Langford. His eyes are only on the plate. And Sanders goes around to third base as Mitchell scores.
So there is Sanders at third base. And Roberto Kelly, who's got excellent speed, the runner at first. He's a base-stealing threat. Still nobody out. 3 hits in a row. And here is the newcomer, Brett Boone. Son of Bob, grandson of Ray. The Boone baseball dynasty. And his dad is now a coach here in Cincinnati. He's what they call the bench coach, sitting alongside Davy Johnson in the dugout.
And one of the reasons they acquired Boone is for his pop. He has some pop in his bat. He's capable of hitting home runs, and that's what they acquired him for, because they had a good hitter in Jeff Branson. He was the second baseman last year.
Chased a high one out of the strike zone. 0-1 the count. Now, he hit 12 home runs last year with the Mariners for Lou Piniella. 271 at-bats.
And he hit 8 more in the minor league, so he had a 20 home run season last year.
And back to the bag at first is Roberto Kelly. By the way, Roberto Kelly stole 21 bases last year, even though he only played half a year. He's fully capable of stealing 40 or 50 bases in a healthy season. There he goes. Strike call. Into center field. Coming in to score is Sanders with the go-ahead run, and Kelly will go all the way down to third, and the throw goes right through the middle of the infield and picked up over near the on-deck circle by Tewksbury. The Cardinals with defensive woes last year, and Joe Troy said, wait a minute, I saw this last year, didn't I?
And the one thing the Cardinals cannot do this year if they expect to contend is to make errors on plays like this, simply because their rotation is not as strong as it has been in the past. The throw by Pappas is offline. Alicea tries to knock it down, but it's just so far toward the second base side of the bag that he just had no chance.
So a steal for Kelly and an error charge to Pappas, allowing the run to score and for allowing Kelly to go to third. 2-1, the Reds ahead now. Still nobody out. There's a runner at third base. Fernandez, Larkin, Roberto Kelly. They got a few guys in this team who can steal a base.
Well, the interesting thing, John, is they can run. They're not really base stealers, but they can run, which puts a lot of pressure on the defense.
Big curveball. Got him swinging. So Boone unable to pick up Kelly from third base.
One of the things I noticed early watching Boone in Seattle last year was that he has a long swing. Watch how long it takes him to get through the zone. That's a big, long swing. And you're going to have a few problems with the breaking ball with a swing like that.
Bob Tewksbury hit for 2 runs in this inning so far and trying to keep a third run from scoring. Now, they've got the infield for an AstroTurf setup in. That's a foul off the bat of Joe Oliver. The only man who's really not in was the shortstop Ozzie, who's in about halfway. And the second baseman for the Cardinals, Alicea, also pulled in about halfway. But on turf, that's about the same as being all the way in. Joe Oliver, 14 homers last year and 75 batted in. That'll keep the runner at third, Roberto Kelly. 1 ball, 1 strike to Joe Oliver. Oliver talked about this spring sort of taking some leadership responsibilities for this Reds club. He said, hey, I may not be a popular guy in a club because of it, but if I see guys not hustling or somebody doing something they shouldn't be doing, I'm going to speak up. I'm going to get on some of these guys. He's been around the club now for a while. Maybe it's his time. One of the heroes in that 1990 World Series. That will get the third run home. Shot it right past Zeal, who has pulled it at third. 3-1 Cincinnati. That'll be a base hit and a run batted in for Oliver.
Well, we talked about Zeal's defensive problems last year. This is a tougher play. You're already in, and the ball is hit sharply down to third base. But he cannot gauge the hop. He was there, but he could not gauge the hop. And that's why the ball got through.
So Joe Oliver, one of the Reds' big RBI man last year, has won after his first at bat this year. 3-1. And Jose Rijo, the pitcher, comes up. He bunts at it, fouls it.
John, I want to address the point you made about Oliver being more vocal this year and whatever. The problem with the Reds, they have a lot of dominant personalities on this ball club, from Rob Dibble to Jose Rio, Kevin Mitchell, Barry Larkin, all dominant personalities. And being honest with you, Joe Oliver cannot designate himself as the guy that's going to be the leader. The players choose who they follow. You can't designate a leader, and one just has to emerge.
Nicely done by Rijo. Pappas with the second baseman Alicea covering, and Oliver is over to second with Tony Fernandez coming up.
It's one of the other reasons that Jose Rijo is one of the best starting pitchers in all of Major League Baseball. He does his job. He bunts well, he runs well, and he will put the ball in play if we were to have a runner at third base. He is a complete pitcher. Good fielder.
Rio hit .268 last year, had 22 hits. Drove in 4 runs in a game against the Phillies last September. Now here's Tony Fernandez. We mentioned he was one of the World Series heroes for the Toronto Blue Jays, and he was rather shocked not to be back with the Jays. They made him an offer, but for only 1 year, he turned it down and ended up not signing with anybody until the springtime, and he got just a fraction of what the Jays had offered him from the Cincinnati Reds. The perennial Gold Glove winner as a shortstop. That will get the runner, Oliver, down to third base on the wild pitch.
That was a bad wild pitch, but the Cardinals are going to miss Tom Pagnozzi until he gets back. Good job of blocking the ball by Pappas, but also a good play by Joe Oliver. If you're a base runner and you see the ball low and it starts to break, you're supposed to sneak away, as Oliver does there. He doesn't wait till the ball bounces away from Pappas. He starts as the ball is going in the dirt.
Sale waits for it, and he got him at first base. But the Reds come back with 3 runs, 4 hits, 1 error. After 2, 3-1 Cincinnati. Of the 1994 baseball season, everybody else will be starting either tomorrow or the next day. I'm John Miller along with Joe Morgan. And tomorrow, a baseball doubleheader. The Mariners will help christen the new Jacobs Field in Cleveland. It'll be Randy Johnson against Dennis Martinez. A great matchup, 1 o'clock, than the Pirates and Giants. And ESPN will be there for both of those. And Chris Berman will be there in Cleveland tomorrow. Chris does all of the stadium christenings for ESPN. You were in Florida last year.
That's right. I get the buying. I'm already vying for Denver next year. I don't know if I'll get to Texas. You know, that should be fun. That was one of the most fun days I ever had as a professional or as a fan, being in the opening day of the Marlins last year. It was so much fun. It was so pure. I think Cleveland's going to be the same thing. We're looking forward to it.
Well, here we go into the 3rd inning now. Eric Pappas will lead it off for the St. Louis Cardinals. Rijo and the Reds are out front 3-1 here. And there is ball 1. It'll be Tewksbury on deck, and then Langford due up 3rd in the inning. Since the leadoff home run by Langford, Rijo has retired everyone he's faced. And it is 1 ball, 1 strike. Now tomorrow,
the season's underway. I mean, John, you live in the Northeast like me. Aren't you sick and tired of shoveling the driveway? I mean, don't we have enough of that this year?
I live in Baltimore. I thought I'd move to, the Yukon.
I know.
Every day I looked up and there was a glacier in my backyard.
No more driveway shuffling. Even though it did snow here this morning, we did have some anxious moments.
Yeah.
Joe, of course, you don't know what.
I don't have that problem.
That's right.
Hey,
I live in California.
Joe and I looked out the window at the hotel this morning, and we thought it was December again. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Pappas. Hard to hit right through the middle. Base hit for Eric Pappas, the 2nd hit for the Cardinals. Now tomorrow, a big celebration in Cleveland. I mean, all these years, no pennant contender in 35 years, no pennant in 40 years. And now they got this fabulous new ballpark after everybody complained about that gigantic old ballpark in the lakefront, and they're filled with high hope. Now that is a live view from Jacobs Field right now. And
that's the largest scoreboard, John, at any of the ballparks. And then it's going to be kind of like the Baltimore Park, which is reminiscent of the old type Fenway's, Tiger Stadiums.
And that was left field, and those were the left field bleachers. We're back in Cincinnati now,
where everything is symmetrical here, but not these new parks. For example, there was a 19-foot fence in left field, a mini green monster. I guess we'll call it Jacob's Ladder. I don't.
I figured you'd come up with something.
Well, Huey Lewis would be proud of me.
1 ball and no strikes to Tewksbury, who showed bunt there. Nobody out. Runner at first. Now that was a live. That was good. Was that your camera, Joe? How do we do that? I didn't do that.
I think that was Phil Orleans. He's got a camera someplace.
Man. Well, he gets the bunt down. Morris looked at second, but instead goes to Boone at first. The sacrifices worked. And now let's go back to Cleveland. What do you say? Let me just see if this works.
This is Joe's telestrator here, I think we're using. Isn't it? There it is.
Corner, right?
19 feet tall, 325 down the line, both lines, so it's pretty short. Of course, then it immediately veers out. The deepest part of the
Looks
park.
like a big doorway there in left field.
Well,
too,
and then they also have the out-of-town scores a la Fenway in that 19-foot monster, or the Jacob's Ladder, as we're definitely going to call it.
Ooh, now that's pretty. Right field.
Right field is nice, and you see the bullpens. There's 3 mounds in every bullpen. They're elevated about 4 feet, so the fans can really yell at the relief pitchers.
So that must be a Tony La Russa's dream.
Yes.
To warm up 3 pitchers at the same time. Here's Ray Langford, who homered to start this 1994 season.
A lefty, a righty, and I guess Eddie Feiner, an underhanded pitcher. You can warm up all at the same time. The deepest part of the park is not straightaway center field. There's a left center field is 410. Dead center is 405. So again, it's reminiscent of the old park.
Time taken. Rijo stopped in mid-motion. Runner at second. 1 out. The same architectural firm that built the Camden Yards in Baltimore also undertook the building of the new stadium in Cleveland. But now in Texas, and I'm really interested to see that ballpark. We'll be there 2 weeks on Sunday Night Baseball. The new ballpark in Arlington.
Yes.
Has a completely different look, handled by a completely different firm altogether.
That also, and I guess you guys will see it when you go there. That's, by the time it's all done, they're going to have amphitheaters. That's going to be a whole little city out there, the ballpark in Arlington, as opposed to the theater in Arlington.
Doesn't snow there, we might move.
Well, I just think that, you know, here we are in Riverfront. I know, Joe, that was home for you for so many years, but those parks that we saw, the riverfronts and the Three Rivers and the Busch Stadium, and they came out all together in the late 60s or the early 70s. I kind of like this trend here. I mean, when you go to Camden Yards, or when you will eventually see Cleveland, or you'll see Texas, does it remind you of like 4 or 5 different old ballparks? They're part of maybe a Crosley or I mean, I don't know.
Well, they do remind me of the old ballparks, but the reason that the riverfronts and the Three Rivers were built because they were football stadiums as well. The new parks are baseball only, and I think that makes the big difference.
Foul tip. Caught and then dropped by Oliver. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Langford stays alive with Ozzie Smith on deck. Now,
capacity in Cleveland is, well, here's this park.
Now, here's the big bowl-shaped park. I contend in 15, 20 years, we'll be talking about the old days, the good old days, and they used to build these great round ballparks. And whatever happened to the great round ballparks with artificial turf, people will be nostalgic for those parks by then.
I don't know, John.
Into right field, base hit. Reggie Sanders. Pappas heading home, and it's overthrown. Rijo late in backing up, and down to second base goes Langford. It is 3-2 Cincinnati.
Well, Langford gets out in front of the slider and pulls into the hole. This is an AstroTurf base hit, Chris, if you want to talking about the AstroTurf. So he doesn't hit that ball well, but it picks up speed and goes to the right side. Now, Sanders has a shot at him, but his throw is high. See, the throw beats him to the plate, but it's over his head, and Jose Rio was not backing up. He was late getting there.
Langford makes it to second. They're going to score an error on the right fielder. And I don't know, Joe, it looked to me from that replay that Langford was heading for second regardless, which should be single RBI down to second on the throw. There's ball 1. And that's the first disagreement with an official scorer here in there. We beat you to that one, Chris.
You took to the 3rd inning, though. I'm impressed.
Ozzie Smith, he was called out on strikes the first time. He takes the ball. Last year, he struck out only 18 times all season, the second lowest total in his career. What happened to him, Joe?
Well, he tells me that he knows more about hitting, he knows more about pitching, and he's put all that together. That's why he's been a better hitter the last 3 years. He's hit over 280 the last 3 years. When Ozzie Smith first came to the major leagues, it was his glove that brought him. And now, really, it's his bat that's keeping him here, because now he's a very important part of their lineup offensively.
2-1 the count. Ooh, is that the forkball? A little dip to it.
It looked more like a slider, but I couldn't tell. It was hard. He throws 2 types of sliders. One where he grips the ball underneath with his thumb. That's a big breaking slider. The one he grips on the side of the ball is a hard slider.
3-2 now to Ozzie. Well, Ozzie steadily around 290 with his average. Gets a lot of walks. Steals 40 bases a year. Sets the table for the big RBI man. He's, as you say, a very important man in that lineup now. Red Boone on number 2 as Langford goes to third base. Opening night for Major League Baseball. The one game to get it all started, and then our doubleheader tomorrow. But the first game coming to you from Jacobs Field in Cleveland. Chris Berman will be there at 1 o'clock. Who are you working with tomorrow?
With Buck Martinez tomorrow. We're back together. And you know what's interesting? I can say with a straight face tomorrow that both Seattle and Cleveland are pennant contenders.
That was going to be my next question.
I mean, don't you think?
Right through the catcher, Oliver, and tying the ball game is Langford. That may well be scored as a pass ball. That one had such action on it, it seemed to fool Oliver.
It did not look like it bounced in front of the plate.
Well, look how he tried to catch it.
Yeah, that should be a pass ball. You're right. The movement on the pitch fooled Oliver, and he got his glove twisted.
I should put a video of that in the scorebook and say this is what we call a pass ball.
I was going to ask you, where did you feel like Cleveland was going to finish? I've already said that I feel that Seattle is going to contend in the West. What about Cleveland?
Well, Cleveland, of course, is in there with the White Sox, and that pitching staff that they have, as you guys well know, a lot has to happen for them to fall way back to that pack. But I think that the juice that you get from a new park, and you just know that every day.
That one's hit hard into left center field, base hit. Kelly over to cut it off, and it goes a little bit beyond him, and Jeffries with great speed is into second base, and each club taking a turn at falling apart here defensively. The Cardinals in the last of the second, and now the Reds here in the top of the third.
That's a single and an error.
Looks like the last day of spring training.
Yeah, I'm going to say maybe this is still spring training. Line drive into left center field. Now Kelly gets over there, but he misplays it in that he ends up kind of catching on the in-between hop rather than getting it on the short hop or the big hop. Going into second is Jeffries with a single and an error.
Second error of the inning by the Cincinnati outfield. 2 runs in. It's a 3-3 game. Here is Todd Zeile, the RBI leader for the Cardinals last year, with 103. He grounded ashort his first time.
Just to finish the thought on Cleveland, obviously ballparks don't play games, but you know, John, that the Orioles, once they're in their new park, they've been contenders. You know, I go back to the early 60s when Candlestick and Dodger Stadium were the first of the new ballparks, and the Giants were in the series the 3rd year in Candlestick. Dodgers were in the series the 2nd year in Dodger Stadium. You think of how many empty seats the Indians played in front of them, and now that most of them are going to be full, they can't help but be more excited every day coming to work. And I think that's going to, I mean, they expect they could get $3 million in Cleveland this year. They've never drawn over 2.6.
And when they did that, it was about 46 years ago.
Yes, it was a while ago.
1948, yeah. Hey, I went to see a movie on Friday, and the Indians won the pennant in the movie.
Well, then there you have it.
They've already won 1 pennant.
There you have it. That's why $3 million.
The crazy thing was, though, they won it at Camden Yards. Made to look like Jacobs Field. 3-2 now to the Cardinals' third baseman, Todd Zeile. That's what, Major League 2. Pretty good movie if you're a baseball fan.
Well, Cleveland has already sold over 17,000 season tickets, so they're well on their way.
Broken bat on the slider, and Brett Boone throws him out. That's the end of the inning here in Cincinnati. The game tied at 3. The Cardinals and the Reds. Tomorrow, 1 o'clock, the Boomer and Buck will be there. Jacobs Field, yeah. Opening day tomorrow, Jacobs Field. The Mariners and Cleveland right here on ESPN. Sunday night baseball from Cincinnati. The 1994 season starting here where professional baseball started 125 years ago. Barry Larkin takes a strike from Bob Tewksbury. Larkin grounded to third his first time. It's a 3-3 ball game. So we're off to kind of a wild start here on a cold night in Cincinnati. 3-3, only the last of the 3rd inning. Right on the corner, 0-2 to Larkin. Hal Morris and Kevin Mitchell will follow. The Cardinals with the run of the 1st and then 2 in the 3rd. The Reds with 3 in the 2nd against Tewksbury. Time taken now. Something got loose on the field out of the right field corner. And the Cardinal right fielder, Mark Whitten, there it is. Slam dunk! 0-2 the count to Barry Larkin. Mark Whitten is a pretty good football player and rarely played baseball until about 17, 18 years old. So he's still learning the game. 0-2. The count to Larkin. Just like another guy who dunks the ball a lot. Michael Jordan.
Just learning the game.
Yeah. But getting a much later start than even Whitten. That's foul back out of play. Right over toward Marty Brenneman, a longtime voice of the Reds. He and the old left-handed Joe Nuxall working together for the 21st year here in Cincinnati. There's Marty. Oh, the old left-hander must be on the air right now. Somebody bought Marty some peanuts and Cracker Jack for opening night. You know, it's so cold. I didn't really feel like we were at the ballpark, Joe, until I saw Marty sitting there eating some peanuts right out of the shell. One of the best around. Marty Brennan. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Curve down and away. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Barry Larkin.
John, you mentioned Michael Jordan. I saw an interesting little piece in the paper today about Pete Rose Jr. He has signed with the Chicago White Sox, and he may be Michael Jordan's teammate this year.
3-2 now to Larkin.
Got his own jerseys on sale now.
It's like one of the old jerseys. Yeah. Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
He used to wear a jersey like that when he was a basketball player years ago.
I've forgotten about that.
Into the upper deck with that foul ball. 3-2 the count to Larkin. Michael Jordan is going to open the year, as you say, in Double-A ball. And Jim Fregosi, the manager of the Phillies, says that'd probably be tougher than facing the big leaguers in spring training. Another foul ball.
You're right.
Because you get some guys that throw even harder than some of these veterans early in the spring. Plus, they don't have any idea where it's going oftentimes.
And the lights in the minor leagues aren't as good as they are in the major league.
And you play after a 12-hour bus ride sometimes. I like Michael seeing that bus that they have at Double-A down there, this old rickety bus. He says, well, I might have to buy my own bus. Ran to the count. There is Hal Morris on deck awaiting his turn.
Barry Larkin will spoil pitches all day if Tewksbury gets them up and out over the plate or away from him. I still believe the way to pitch Barry is to come in tight when you get an opportunity.
And that will go out of play.
I think he can do that all day. He's very good at spoiling pitches. You see he's laughing. Pitches out away from him, he just fouls them off.
Well, Larkin hit over 300 each of the last 5 seasons, and this will be the 12th pitch of this sequence to him. So he is really making Tewksbury work. Larkin usually does make contact. He only struck out 33 times last year, or about once for every 12 at-bats.
He tried to come in on him then.
Tough pitch.
Yes.
That's what you're supposed to do with tough pitches with 2 strikes.
That's one thing the good hitters do. They spoil the tough pitches that a pitcher throws, and then when he makes a mistake, they make him pay for it.
He has fouled off 7 straight pitches. And he gets the walk. And he got it the old-fashioned way. He earned it. Well, we were talking about Michael Jordan and going to the Birmingham Barons. Here's a look at Michael down in the springtime when he was with the White Sox.
Yeah, look, he holds his hands a little tight to the body, and on this swing, he does not get good extension. Watch, not good extension there. But watch this. He still has good extension on his free throws.
Tomorrow night on ESPN, 8 p.m., Jordan's Dream Spring outside the lines, and they'll explore just what all went on down there. It was well reported, but I think, as always, the excellent program Outside the Lines will take you into the clubhouse and find out what all really went on down there. Here's Hal Morris with a high fly ball into left center. This is Gilkey. And Morris is promptly retired. He's 0 for 2. Larkin has to go back to first. Is that amazing? He just threw 14 pitches to Larkin, and then Morris flies out on 1 pitch.
Yeah.
And he's not pleased with it. He's talking to himself now. Here's the cleanup man, Kevin Mitchell. Well, one thing with Morris hitting third against right-handers, Larkin up there, these guys just need to get on base as often as possible. With Mitchell's healthy, he'll take care of the driving him in.
He will definitely drive in the runs. He is a run producer. We mentioned he only had 323 at-bats. An average season or a complete season is around 600 at-bats. So he was a little over half, and he drove in 64 runs, and he hit 19 home runs.
Larkin at first. Now Mitchell in 1989 was the MVP when he hit 47 homers, 125 RBIs, hit 35 homers again the next year. But the last 3 seasons, he's had serious injury problems. In each one of those seasons, he's only played 113 games, 99 games, and then 93 last year.
He likes St. Louis pitching.
He used to faces the Cardinals suffer. That's a called strike. 1 ball and 1 strike to Mitchell. Mitchell's happy to be playing for Davy Johnson. Davy Johnson's the man who said, let's keep this guy. Spring training of '86, and Mitchell helped Davy Johnson, and the Mets won a World Series that year. That year, he played all around the field. He played third base, he played the outfield. And Davy told him in the springtime, he said, listen, show me that you can play almost anywhere. That's what you'll have to do to make this club. And Mitchell did it. He feels that he owes the fans of Cincinnati something this year, which is to stay healthy and produce a big season for them.
And reading some of the comments that were attributed to him from spring training, is he's made a big commitment to his teammates that he's going to have a great year, and also to Davy Johnson. So a lot of commitment from Kevin Mitchell this year to the fans, to his teammates, and to the manager.
And he told Barry Larkin in the springtime, he says, I'm focused. And everything bad is behind me. I got one thing on my mind, and that's just to win. And that's it. No other problems, nothing to worry about. 3-1 the count to Mitchell. And now Pappas will go out to speak to Bob Tewksbury here, who rarely has to throw this many pitches. He threw 14 to Larkin and then walked him. And now he's 3-1 to Mitchell.
I can understand what he's doing to Mitchell. He's trying to pitch him away and just nip the outside corner. So he's being a little more careful with Mitchell than he was with Larkin. He threw a lot of strikes to Larkin. Larkin just fouled him off. But to Mitchell, he is trying to make a perfect pitch. Because if he makes a mistake, he can fall behind by 2 runs.
Reggie Sanders is on deck. He's a pretty good hitter, too. But he's not Kevin Mitchell. Larkin back to the bag at first. 3-1 with 1 out. A chance for Larkin to run here?
I don't think Kevin Mitchell likes to have the runner going when he's at the plate. But he is going.
He's going. And Ozzie to the second one. Alexander with an acrobatic leap over the runner and completing the double play. Who did he learn that from? The Wizard?
Ozzie Smith.
Yeah. That's the inning. 3-3. Sunday Night Baseball from Cincinnati. We go to the 4th inning now. And the powerful Mark Whitten will lead it off for the St. Louis Cardinals against Jose Rijo. And that is ball 1. Whitten struck out his first time. Rijo has 3 strikeouts and has not walked anybody. But has given up 3 runs and 4 hits, including a home run by Ray Lankford. A called strike. 1 ball and 1 strike.
John, we talked about Whitten being a low ball hitter. The way to pitch to a low ball hitter is throw it too low. You know, the way to pitch to a high ball hitter is to throw it too high for him to hit, get him to chase pitches out of the strike zone.
A ball and 2 strikes now.
Good fastball there from Rijo. The one thing you can't do with Rijo is sit on a pitch, because even though his slider is his best pitch on occasion, he has 2 different breaks on the slider. And then he can always throw the fastball by you. Right up there.
Yeah.
Kind of identical pitches to Whitten, both in the first inning and now. His first at bat and now. This fastball is up, and it's 94 miles an hour. And Whitten, being a low ball hitter, cannot catch up with the high fastball. Good pitch by Rijo.
Now Bernard Gilkey. Base hit, right center field. Reggie Sanders picks it up. Hit number 5 for the St. Louis Cardinals. And Luis Alicea is coming up. A double play he completed to end the Reds' 3rd inning.
Well, it's an excellent double play. This reminds me of Ozzie Smith. Kevin Mitchell hits this ball hard because Larkin was running on the play. Quick feed by Ozzie Smith. And what you have to do is get out of the way of the runner. You can see Larkin really went after him. Just an excellent play by Alicea. And Ozzie Smith, of course.
Strike 1 to Luis Alicea.
Alicea was over 300 most of the season last year. He fell down below that mark towards the end of the season. He had a few nagging injuries as well. Ended up at 279. But he is capable of hitting close to 300 or better because he is a switch hitter, and he has continued to improve, and the improvement has come from the left side. He improved his right side from the right side the year before, and really worked on his left side last year, and he improved there. So he continues to improve. Maybe he'll hit 350.
To Florida State University for 3 years. Majored in business down there. Was an NCAA All-America in 1985.
I broadcast his games in the College World Series that year.
How did he look?
Good. I thought he was. I really felt he would have already been a star by this time in his major league career.
Just off the corner from Rijo, and it is 3-1. Pena got injured in early July last year, and even though he really didn't start playing every day till that point, Aliseyev had 40 RBIs as a second baseman, the most in 6 years by a Cardinals second baseman. High throw by Rijo, pulled in by the rather tall Hal Morris. You mentioned Aliseyev. Very strong from the right side. He had 367 batting right-handed last year. The runner goes. And that one is into the outfield again. Oliver with the poor throw this time.
Well, actually, Barry Larkin should have caught that ball, John. He tried to make the catch and the tag in the same motion. It's not a perfect throw, but one that should have been caught. Now watch, he has a chance to catch this ball, see? He's just trying to make the tag and the catch at the same time. Throw was to the first base side, but still should have made the catch.
Look out. Foul ball. Down the right field line, Jose Cardinals, first base coach for the Cardinals, ducked under it. Bucky Dent is the coach at third for St. Louis. There's Cardinals. He was a pretty good player.
Very good player.
An outfielder.
Smart player, too.
A lot of speed. Ball 4. Aliseyev gets the walk from Rijo. 2 men on, 1 man out, and Eric Pappas is coming up. There's the Family Channel blimp.
Family Channel blimp will be with us all year.
All year?
All year.
All right. That's the look from the blimp. Part of it's a 1994 Accentuate the Positive Airship Tour. In fact, you'll be seeing them with us, but also they'll be at major fairs around the country, festivals, sporting events. They'll be going all across the country in 1994.
Kind of like that we will be doing, right?
Yeah. Every Sunday. That's when I'll remind you to tune in every Sunday night. We'll be with you. There is Bernard Gilkey, very fast. He's at second base. Luis Aliseyev runs pretty well. He's at first base. Pappas trying to deliver the go-ahead run here. He singled in the third and started a 2-run rally against that man, Jose Rijo. Rijo gets the shore out. Out number 2 with Tewksbury coming up. Every Sunday, just tune us in. You don't have to check any listings or schedules because you know we'll have a ball game for you. Every Sunday from now till the end of September. Sunday night baseball. Here's Tewksbury now. He sacrifices first time. Not a bad hitter for a pitcher. 203.
For a pitcher to hit over 200 is like an everyday player hitting over 300. That's kind of the gauge.
He whacks this one into left center field. This one will head to the wall. Gilkey has scored. Here comes Aliseyev to score. And a 2-run double for the suddenly muscular power hitter, Bob Tewksbury. 5-3 Cardinals.
This is definitely a mistake by Jose Rijo. The pitch is up and in. Now watch, out over the plate a little bit and up, and he just lines it in the left center field. You could see that Roberto Kelly was playing over towards right field, and that just goes to the wall for a double, and 2 more runs batted in.
Here's Langford, a foul tip on the high fastball. Langford led off the season with a home run to left center. Then in the 3rd inning, he singled to right, driving in a run. 2 for 2, 2 batted in for Langford. Determined to have a big year this year. Off to a great start. 0-2 the count now to Ray Langford. Well, the double by Tewksbury really quieted the crowd down here in Cincinnati. They're not used to seeing their ace roughed up like this.
Oh, you're right. Last year he was second in the league in earned run average behind Greg Maddux.
Look out. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Davy Johnson with Bob Boone. And Boone's checking something out for Davy there. Got the book out. A little too swift for Langford that time. 5th strikeout for Rijo. But he has struggled. 2 more runs for the Cardinals. They lead 5-3 after 3.5. Baseball, and the Cardinals are in front of the Reds 5-3 as we go to the last of the 4th inning. This is the 125th anniversary of the birth of professional baseball, which occurred right here in Cincinnati in 1869. The Cincinnati Red Stockings, and the Reds this year will be the one team wearing this patch with a picture of the old 1869 Reds. Reggie Sanders, first ball swinging, and Ozzie Smith throws him out. Sanders, who singled his first time, is now 1 for 2. By the way, just for the record, 1869, the first recorded game ever played by the professional Cincinnati Red Stockings was here in Cincy in sort of a spring training exhibition, Joe. April 17, 1869, and they beat a local club 24-15, and then they went out on their famous tour where they went undefeated. And their first official game was June the 1st. They beat the Mansfield Independents. You think this was a good club now? They won 48-14. The steamroller, Joe.
Good hitters.
They were 57-0 that first year. And they went to 130 consecutive victories into the next season before they finally lost a game to a team called the Brooklyn Atlantics in June of 1870. Bob Tewksbury with a 1-ball, 2-strike count to Roberto Kelly, who singled home a run his first time, then stole a base and scored a run. 2-2. I mean, that must have been quite a time. Right after the Civil War, base hit for Roberto Kelly. And he is 2 for 2. The 5th hit for the Reds. Right after the Civil War, and guys actually were being paid to play baseball. So almost by definition, they had to be among the best players in the country. And they became a legendary club, the famed Cincinnati Red Stockings. They played every team, every town's best team, and always beat them. Until one day when the Brooklyn Atlantics, and it was a momentous day when they finally lost the game. Headlines around the country. And I'm sure that nobody, Harry or George Wright, the guys who founded the ball club from over in Newport, Kentucky. Harry Wright was a jeweler. Nobody could have, in their wildest dreams, ever figured what they really were starting. That we'd be here 125 years later. Still a ball club in Cincinnati. Still playing the first game every season. And another first 125 years after the fact. Opening on a Sunday night as a showcase for the whole country. Brett Boone, the hitter. Up the middle. Oh, nice play by Ozzie. Behind the back pass to Alicea. Kelly is forced at second.
Ozzie Smith has been doing this for 17 years now. That's why they call him the Wizard. This is a ground ball up the middle. And remember, this is AstroTurf. Now watch. All out dive. Backhands it. Flips it over to second base. Make sure of the out at second base. He doesn't hurry and throw it away. Very good play by Ozzie Smith.
Joe Oliver. Right to Whitten. Oliver, who singled to drive in a run his first time, is retired. One hit, one spectacular play. We go to the 5th inning, and Ozzie will lead it off. 5-3. The Wizard will lead it off as we saw some of his wizardry in the last of the 4th. And now Ozzie, who likes to talk about his hitting, We'll try and do some of that against Jose Rijo. He's 0 for 2 in this game. Ozzie with 2,265 hits. 235 shy of 2,500. Not bad for a guy who, quote, can't hit, end quote.
Well, that was his label when he played for the San Diego Padres.
His second year in the majors, he hit 211. Base hit, 2,266. Ozzie Smith, of course, did not win the Gold Glove last year. He'd won 13. We asked if he felt maybe that his defensive play had slipped. Here's what he told us.
What I'm being judged against is I'm being judged against me. And when you're judged against yourself, there's no win. And, you know, I've won Gold Gloves with 24-25 errors. You know, last year, Greg, I had a new first baseman that I was throwing to. He was learning the position. So there are a lot of things that you take into consideration there.
Yeah, there's Greg, the man he's talking about, Greg Jeffries. And Jeffries has gone 1 for 2 tonight, a ground out and a single. And he has a count of 0-1. Ozzie Smith over at first base. Ozzie stole 21 times last year. Yeah, he strike and did his 0-2. Yeah, Ozzie Smith, talking about his hitting 1979, he hit 211. The next year, 230. The next year, 222. Then he went to the Cardinals. First year with the Cardinals, 248. That is Tony Fernandez, the outstanding shortstop, a Gold Glove winner in the American League for so many years. Now a third baseman here, and he throws at Jeffries.
Well, he has not changed his throwing style. He still throws kind of underhand. Watch him. He kind of flips the ball. He did this from shortstop as well, a snap throw. That's typical Tony Fernandez right there. You know, you mentioned Ozzie Smith stole 20 bases last year. Only he and Honus Wagner had stolen over 20 bases 16 straight years. That was his 16th straight year of stealing 20 bases or more.
And that's a strike to Todd Zeile, the RBI leader for the Cardinals a year ago, trying to pick up one here with Ozzie out at second. In fact, 21 by Ozzie last year. That is the lowest total of his career for any season in the major leagues. Even in the year of the strike, 1981, he had 22 in what turned out to be 2/3 of a year. Ozzie Smith, 5-3. The Cardinals already ahead. We're in the 5th inning. It's tapped foul behind the plate. 1-2 to Zeile.
John, the unusual thing about Ozzie Smith is usually, you know, at this stage of your career, you're starting to go downhill a little bit. He has not gone downhill. He's become a better hitter as he's gotten older. And when I talked to him about that, he says he really understands himself better now, and he understands more about pitching than he ever has before.
2-2. Well, these last 3 seasons, Ozzie Smith has hit 288, 295, and 285. Gets on base, steals bases. He gets to second. He's truly in scoring position. He'll score most of the time on a single from second. 3-2 to Zeile. Mark Whitten is on deck. Rio's had countless 3-2 counts tonight. Very much unlike him.
John, I think part of that is because of the weather. I think you're coming from Florida where it's warm.
Into right field, base hit. Sanders up for the ball. Here comes Ozzie heading home. Here comes the throw. And he's out. Zeile ends up at second. Sanders gets his man.
Well, Sanders had a shot at a runner earlier. He drove it through the plate. This is almost a perfect throw right in the line. No place for Ozzie Smith to go. Now watch, Joe Oliver blocks the plate. There's no place for Ozzie to go. Ozzie can't slide and he can't go around him. The only thing he could have done was run over him. But you see here, no place for Ozzie Smith to go. Nice play by Sanders and Joe Oliver.
So here's Mark Whitten, runner at second. A single for Zeile. He takes second on the throw. Ozzie Smith gets thrown out. Trying to score from second base. Mark Whitten struck out twice tonight. Takes that pitch up around his shoulders there and fouled it back. 0-2 the count.
You can see Jose Rijo is going to give him a steady diet of high fastballs or a slider down in the end in the dirt.
Dashed off the outside. 1-2. Well, Ozzy's 39 now, Joe. Well, how fast were you when you were 39?
Can't remember back that far. No, but I mean, it's difficult to score on AstroTurf anyway, especially they were playing shallow in right field because Zeal does not hit the ball that way often.
There's a defensive cut by Whitten with 2 strikes, and he fights it off. Bullpen activity for the Reds now. Rijo scheduled to lead it off in the last half of this inning, and Johnny Ruffin, a right-hander, has started to warm up. There he is. Rio's thrown a lot of pitches. We're only in the 5th inning. Giving up 5 runs and 8 hits. This will be his 97th pitch of the game.
Again, though, John, I believe part of the problem is, you know, the warm weather in Florida and the cold weather here. It's a little tougher to grip the ball. You don't feel quite as comfortable with your pitches. So you end up making more pitches. And I think that's true for Tewksbury as well.
Broken bat. Brett Boone. Rijo, safe. Mark Whitten, to his credit, raced up that line and beat it. Stopping at third was Zeal.
Well, it's an error on the second baseman, Boone. He lets the ball play him, actually, and he catches it on the in-between hop, or tries to. And then hustle by Whitten beats the play at first base.
So the inning continues now, and the batter will be Bernard Gilkey.
You know, I mentioned earlier, John, Boone was here for his bat because he has some pop in his bat, but he is just an average, you know, second baseman defensively.
That was kind of the opposite with his dad.
Yeah.
A great catcher who didn't hit all that well early in his career. Actually, he was like Ozzy. He hit better later in his career than he did early. Here's Gilkey, 1 for 2. Runners at first and third. Base hit into left field. Just past the diving Fernandez. Coming in to score is Zeal. Whitten stops at second, and it is 6-3 Cardinals. Gilkey with his first RBI. Johnson wants him to finish this inning.
Well, yeah, because he's the leadoff hitter in the bottom half. Again, that's a fastball middle of the plate, about belt high, not where Rijo wanted to throw it, and it's ripped past Tony Fernandez into left field for a base hit.
9 hits for the Cardinals. This last run, of course, is a result of the Boone error, an unearned run, and that's 2 of the Cardinals' 6 runs unearned. Davy Johnson saying, man, this is not the way it's supposed to happen when I got my ace out there. High hard one, Alicea. Too late on it. He has struck out and he has walked and scored a run. 0 for 1. 6-3. The Cardinals lead the Reds, and we're only in the 5th inning. 2 men on. Well, we came right back with the same thing, same result. 0-2 the count. Now, when you're not sharp, whether you're Jose Rijo or anybody else, on a cold night or any other night, if you're not sharp against this Cardinal club, they're going to score some runs. This is a very good hitting team, especially if Langford is back at full efficiency.
Well, other than Whitten, really, they do not strike out a lot. They put the ball in play, and that's one reason for their success. When you look around that Cardinal, you know, infield and outfield, most of the guys will put the ball in play.
Well, it worked all 3 times. The high fastball for the strikeout, number 6 for Rijo, and that's probably the end of Rijo for tonight. 6-3 Cardinals. Rijo due to lead it off. We're back. Sunday Night Baseball, 1994, Game 1. Cardinals 6, Reds 3. We're halfway through it on this Easter Sunday from Riverfront Stadium, Cincinnati. And for the Reds, a pinch hitter, Lenny Harris, will bat here in place of Jose Rijo. Harris, the once and current Red. Spent the last 4 years with the Los Angeles Dodgers. And about Tewksbury's curveball is fouled into the batter's box. He got a chance to play a lot in L.A. the first 3 years there and always hit well. Last year was mostly a pinch hitter and utility player. Did not do very well as a pinch hitter. Was only 8 for 45 for Tommy Lasorda. Bunted, but fouled.
You're right. He's always been a good hitter, good offensive player. He was part of the trade that brought Mariano Duncan and Leary here from the Dodgers. He went with Cal Daniels to the Dodgers.
He's from Miami. Still lives in Miami in the offseason. Went to Jackson High School in Miami. And then went to Miami-Dade Community College North. The 0-2 count. Ozzie Smith on the move. The dirt, but picked by Jeffries. And that's what he didn't do so well at times last year. They have saved Ozzie an error there.
That was a nice play by both Ozzie Smith and Greg Jeffries on that play. That's a tough play because Harris runs well. And from the left side, watch, he gets out of the box well here. So he's already moving. Now Ozzie has the charge because Ozzie plays one of the deepest shortstops in the league when he's on AstroTurf. Gets rid of the ball very quickly. Low throw, dug out, and that was a good scoop by Jeffries because this ball bounces a couple of feet out in front of him. It was not a short hop.
Greg Jeffries got it done. Now here is Tony Fernandez. Fernandez is twice grounded out.
John, I was making a point earlier about what the Reds have done to themselves when you have a Hal Morris at first base and Tony Fernandez at third. Your offense is supposed to come from the corners. Your first baseman, your third baseman, your left fielder, and your right fielder. The middle of the diamond is for defense. Your catcher, pitcher, shortstop, second baseman, center fielder. So the point I'm making is when you have a guy like Fernandez playing in one of the power slots, or if Morris, who's not going to hit a lot of home runs, you have to pick it up someplace else. And that's why I said all the pressure is really falling on Kevin Mitchell this year because you just do not have any power from your third baseman. Because Chris Sabo was a third baseman last year, of course, and he led the team in home runs. And now you have Morris at first base. Neither one of these guys are going to hit more than 5 or 6 home runs. So they're really changing the way you set up a team. You take the Cardinals by contrast. Look at their first baseman, their third baseman, their left fielder, and their right fielder. That's where their pop comes from. Greg Jeffries at first base, Todd Zeile at third, and of course, you know, the outfielders, Wilkie, Whitman, and Gilkey.
Yeah.
Right. They're set up properly. But when you start to taking away from your power slots or your offensive producing positions, you have to make that up someplace else.
Fernandez is into a discussion here with Terry Tata, the veteran umpire, and Davy Johnson comes out.
Well, Davy's upset because he didn't like the answer that he got from Terry Tata.
Davy Johnson has just been thrown out. Well, it's said that Johnson's under pressure to get off to a good start. It has not started well tonight, but he's certainly got the crowd behind him right now after this opening night ejection in the 5th inning.
Well, according to Davy Johnson, you see him take the helmet and he says the ball hit Tony Fernandez in the foot, and that's what he was out there arguing about. We'll probably get another look at it here in a second.
3-2. And Alicea as he plays. Let's take a look and see what we can see on this previous pitch.
Well, the ball did hit him in his back foot, and that's what Fernandez was arguing with Tata about, and then Davy Johnson came out and argued as well.
But on the other hand, although we never see it called, the umpire is not obligated to give him first base because in the rule book it says if you must make an effort to get out of the way of the ball.
Well, yes. Well,
They never use that rule,
but
it seems like.
let's take that a step further. It means that you cannot, if you're in the strike zone or you lean out over the plate, you're not making an effort to get out of the way. I would say that he did make an effort to get out of the way with his front foot.
Barry Larkin, the hitter, foul ball on the third base side.
Now watch his front foot. Now watch him. He will lean out of the way right there. See his front foot? See how he moved his front foot? I mean, you can't move both at the same time. That's almost impossible. But he did move his front foot to try to get out of the way.
And Fernandez still steamed about it here. With the big guns coming up, you can well understand. I mean, he gets on base. You got Larkin, Morris, Mitchell coming up. Maybe there's makings of an inning here.
And you know, statistics will tell you that there are more big innings with 1 out than there are with 2 outs. It started with 1 out than there are with 2 outs.
Now, sometimes you'll see a plate umpire, maybe in a situation like that, point to the third base umpire, the second base umpire, ask for some help in that play. I don't recall seeing Tata do that.
No. Tata thought the ball bounced, and so did I originally, until I saw them arguing. But you would actually get help from the third base umpire more than any place else.
Must not have been any shoe polish in that ball, though, Joe. Who was that? Nippy Jones, right? The 57 World Series?
Milwaukee
actually
plays.
Turned that series around. Showed the umpire the polish on the ball. That changed the call. So long, Davey. To 3 Cardinals. We move to the 6th inning here from Riverfront Stadium. I'm John Miller, along with Joe Morgan, your Sunday night baseball telecasters. And the new pitchers on with the Reds, Johnny Ruffin to face Eric Pappas. First ball swinging and a pop-up. Barry Larkin, shortstop. And Pappas is now 1 for 3. Jose Rijo. He'll do a lot better than this most often. There he is leaving the ball game a little while ago, leaving the dugout. Ray Knight, the foreground, Tony Fernandez. Rijo, 6 runs, 4 earned, 6 strikeouts, but 9 hits in 5 innings. One of the toughest to hit in the National League. But the Cardinals racked him up pretty hard tonight. Johnny Ruffin. This is what he did last year. Right to Larkin. The bat of Tewksbury. Tewksbury, who doubled home 2 runs his last time. This time he's out. That'll bring up leadoff man Ray Lankford. He kicked off this 1994 season in a high style. The first batter of the season in the major leagues. And he went deep. And then he followed that up very nicely with an encore in the 3rd inning with a man at second. And he singled him home. That brought Pappas home. So Lankford is 2 for 3, 2 batted in tonight, a single and a homer. There he is with 2 down and nobody on in the 6th inning. Takes a strike from Johnny Ruffin. Ruffin from Butler, Alabama. He's only 22 years of age. He hit right through the farm system last year.
It looks like he has an excellent fastball. He's throwing awfully hard. In talking to Joe Torre before the ball game, you know, he says he wants to get his 4 outfielders a lot of at-bats. But he admitted to me, he said, look, if somebody's hot, I'm going to leave him in there. And it looks like Lankford will be in there again tomorrow, maybe, except he had his mind made up that Brian Jordan was going to start against John Smiley, the left-hander. But I'm not so sure he's going to stick to that now.
2-1 to Lankford. By the way, Johnny Ruffin, he was with the White Sox, and they got him in the Tim Belcher trade last year. That was at the end of July, just before the trading deadline.
Looks like a good move for the Reds, but they were not going to re-sign Belcher anyway.
Pretty good pickup. He was in Double-A ball in Birmingham, and then went to Double-A with the Reds, and then up to Triple-A in Indianapolis, and finally, with all of the injuries at the big league level, he ended up here in Cincinnati in 21 ball games, and looked real strong. 3-2 now to Ray Lankford. 6-3, the Cardinals lead the Reds. We're in the 6th. Ozzie Smith would be next. Al Morris. And that's the inning. 3 up and 3 down. Hal Morris, Kevin Mitchell, and Reggie Sanders coming up. Cardinals lead 6-3. Cincinnati 6-3. The Cardinals over the Reds on Sunday Night Baseball. Opening night in the majors tomorrow. An opening day doubleheader. The first game ever at Jacobs Field. The Seattle Mariners with Randy Johnson. He's the Nolan Ryan heir apparent. He's the dominating left-hander facing the veteran Dennis Martinez. Great young stars of the Cleveland Indians. Albert Bell, 38 homers. Carlos Baerga, what an exciting, extraordinary player he is. And Kenny Lofton, the great leadoff man. And, of course, Ken Griffey Jr., the kid, maybe the best of them all. Out there for the Mariners. That's tomorrow, 1 o'clock. I sold myself on that one, Joe. I'm going to have to drive down there now. Here's Hal Morris. 0 for 2 facing Tewksbury. That's Tewksbury's 75th pitch, so he's in pretty good shape. He's usually about 100, 110 pitches, and then they like to get him out of there. So generally, in Tewksbury starts, he might go about 7 innings or so. That's about the pace he's on tonight. And Jeffries picks it again on the low throw by Alicea.
The one thing to remember, a first baseman has to be able to pick these types of throws. The other one from Ozzie Smith was more difficult. But as an infielder, what you do is aim at the belt. So if the ball does sink, he still has a chance to catch it. If you aim at his shoulders and you throw it high, then he doesn't have a chance to catch it. You're giving yourself the best percentage chance of having the ball caught. So you can scoop the ball, but you can't jump if the ball's over the first baseman's head.
Now Kevin Mitchell, he has doubled and he's hit a double play. 1 for 2. A's strike down around the knees. 0-1 the count.
So John, the next time you're playing infield, always aim at the belt buckle.
All right.
All right.
Aim at the belt buckle and hope to hit within at least 10 feet of first base.
Exactly.
I never had a very good arm, Joe.
I didn't either, John.
0-2 the count, but you had a quick release. 0-2 to Mitchell. Well, when Jeffries was made a first baseman last year, people said, man, he's a little too small for that. And people remembered Steve Garvey.
Right.
And Garvey specialized in picking those low throws.
Very good at that.
2 down. Mitchell on the ground out to Ozzie Smith. John Miller and Joe Morgan, the voice of the Reds.
Well, these were the only ones we could steal tonight.
It's a little cold.
Yes, it is.
For the ESPN Blazers tonight.
But I must admit, I have had one of these on before.
Hey, we're not going after Marty Brennaman's job.
Well, they had blankets. If I would have had the blanket, then I wouldn't need this.
Maybe we could offer them these coats for those blankets. Here's Reggie Sanders, who has a single and a ground out to short. And he also has thrown out a runner at the plate. Ozzie Smith back in the 5th inning. 6-3 the score.
That looks like, who's that, Roberto Kelly? No, that's not Roberto, is it?
That's Nanook. Nanook Kelly. Deep into right field. Sanders has really hit this one. Gone! A home run!
Different than most free swingers. He hits the breaking balls very well or off-speed pitches. And he goes out and gets this pitch and just drives it. I mean, he hits this ball awfully hard to straightaway right field. And he goes into the upper deck.
This is Roberto Kelly. Fans didn't like that. Neither did Kelly. 1 ball to no strikes. Pitchers don't like that when guys lean out over the plate and hit a home run like that. That part of the plate they feel belongs to them. Doc Medich used to call it the pitcher's territorial imperative.
Let me ask you a question. Why does the outside part of the plate belong to the pitcher?
Did you ever
strike, isn't it?
Hey, this is what the late Don Drysdale always told me.
You always talk to pitchers about that.
I never argued with him about it, and I know you never did.
No, I didn't argue with him.
That's right, Don. That part belongs to you, baby.
Trouble is, when Bob Gibson pitched, he wanted the inside part, he wanted the outside part, and he wanted the middle. He didn't want you to have any of it.
Yeah, and usually he got the whole thing, too. Foul ball by Kelly. 2-2 the count. Well, Bob Tewksbury giving up the solo home run. Last year he gave up only 15 homers all year, which is pretty good. 213 innings. And 11 of the 15 were solos.
Well, that reminds me a little bit of Ferguson Jenkins, who pitched in the friendly confines of Wrigley Field. He would give up a lot of home runs, but he wouldn't walk people. He would not put a lot of runners on, so they were solo homers. That's how he was able to win 20 games about 6 years in a row.
Those control guys, they wouldn't walk guys and give up a lot of homers, but not so that it would hurt them terribly. Catfish Hunter was another. He gave up 25, 30 homers, usually with the bases empty, and usually when he was ahead by 4 or 5 runs. There's Kevin Mitchell. Reggie Sanders. Mitchell may be telling us, yeah, I hit one like that once when I was hurt. I mean, Mitchell, when he launches one, I mean, they stay launched. And it's a walk for Kelly. And that bullpen may get started here soon. Kelly aboard with a third straight time. He'd had 2 hits earlier. And here comes Joe Coleman, the Cardinals pitching coach, dispatched by Joe Torre to the mound. And that is the second walk by Tewksbury in this game, the wildest I've ever seen him. 6-4 Cardinals are in the 6th inning. Tonight we're receiving pictures from the Family Channel blimp, one of a select number of light ships, as they like to call them in the nation. Blimps equipped with a special internal illumination system which allows the blimp to glow brightly from within, which, Joe, I've always said about you. You have that internal light that glows from within. It's your charisma.
Does that mean I'm having fun? I hope.
I never understood what it meant. I don't try to interpret it. It just is. But here's Brett Boone. Now, Boone would like to get off to a good start in his new town, but tonight he's 0 for 2. He's struck out and he's made an error. It ended up costing a run. So I'd like to make something happen here. Roberto Kelly at first. He's stolen 1 base already tonight. Pittsburgh almost got him going the wrong way there. Jeffries on the bag with him. Roberto Kelly from Panama. Going to stay healthy this year. 2 down in the 6th inning. A run is in. Into right field. Base hit. Kelly's going to hit for third.
That's one of the things that Lou Piniella wanted Boone to do more of, and they had a lot of problems over this. He has a long swing, and he was trying to pull the ball too often. See him, this is still a long swing, and he really wasn't going to right field. He's just late on that fastball because he does have such a long swing. But he does a good job of hitting it the opposite direction.
Now you've got Joe Oliver coming up. There's Brett Boone with his first National League hit in his new hometown. The Cardinal bullpen is busy. There is Vicente Palacios, a right-hander. And with a pitcher due up next for the Reds, the Cincinnati bullpen is also getting busy. Strike 1 to Joe Oliver. There is Jeff Bradley, the former Giant, picked up by the Reds to help bolster that bullpen. We're in the 6th inning. Out on deck is Thomas Howard, a switch hitter. But we've got 2 out. High in the air, shallow left center. Ozzy's going out. He wants it, and he's got it. So the 2 men are stranded. 1 run. 6-4 Reds. Ozzy, Jeffries, and Zeal coming up. We go to the 7th. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is brought to you by Ramada. Stay with them on your next holiday and discover why Ramada's in. River Riverfront Stadium on the shores of the Ohio. Riverfront Stadium opened in 1970. More than 50,000 were on hand, and the team went on to win its first Western Division title. And then from 70 through 79, the Reds won more games and more titles than any other major league team. One span there, just a very few years, it seemed like they had a lock on the MVP award. Johnny Bench, Joe Morgan, Pete Rose, one of those three was always winning that MVP.
George Foster.
That's right, George Foster. I think the four of you won 6 MVPs in a short period. Ozzie Smith, the hitter, facing Johnny Ruffin, and it's a ball and a strike. Ozzie 1 for 3 in the game. He'll be followed by Jeffries and then Zeal. 6-4, the Cardinals ahead. We're heading into the late innings now. This is the 7th inning. 6 runs, 9 hits, 1 error for St. Louis. 4 runs, 7 hits, 3 errors for the Reds. And it's a 3-1 count. Bob Tewksbury on the bench. Now that bullpen is still going for the Cardinals. So maybe Tewksbury's finished. There is Vicente Palacios still up out there. It's Galen Pitts, the coach out there. And Jeff Brantley is still up in the Reds bullpen. Johnny Ruffin is scheduled to lead it off in the last of this inning for the Reds, so they'll pinch hit for him. 3-1. And the foul ball makes it 3-2 down toward the bullpen area. Ozzie Smith.
Ruffin does not seem to have good command of his breaking balls, but he has an excellent fastball, good movement on the fastball.
Right to Hal Morris. Now, isn't that odd? You think of Ozzie Smith as a lefty, you think of a guy who hits singles to left, and yet Morris seemed to be shading him to pull it, and he did.
One of the reasons Ozzie has hit better the last few years is because he has learned to pull the ball on occasion, which opens up the field more. They used to stack the defense to the left side and pitch him that way. And if they're stacking to one side and you hit the ball through it, it's very difficult to do. So if you can open up the whole field for yourself, obviously there are more holes out there.
Here's Greg Jeffries now, 1 for 3 in the game. Jeffries' wife is from Kentucky. She's just across the river from here, and so she and their new child, Jacob, are making this trip with them, and they're visiting the family over in Kentucky. Well, they have the opportunity these next few days as the Cardinals open the year in Cincinnati. 2-1 now to Jeffries. Johnny Ruffin, the pitcher. Morris, but he can't hold it, and it's a base hit for Greg Jeffries.
You know, Jeffries got off to a very slow start even last year, but in June he hit .444. And that's how he ended up with a .340+ batting average. Take a look at his swing as a fastball looked like belt high on the inside part of the plate. He grounds it in the hole. Marsh gets a pretty good jump on it. He even gets there. See, the ball actually hits the heel of his glove and bounces away. Ten
hits now for the Cardinals, and Jeffries, of course, is a threat to steal. 46 steals last year. Here is Todd Zeal, 1 for 3. Jeffries back to the bat. Each team has a steal tonight. Roberto Kelly for the Reds and Bernard Gilkey for the Cardinals. Todd Zeal, the hitter. Infield double play depth. Right in there for a strike. Now, Ruffin last year when he came to the Reds, right away showed that he was real tough on the right-handers. Right-handed hitters batted a collective 191 against him. So he was a slump waiting to happen for a right-hander. And not many first basemen steal a lot of bases there. Rod Carew was the last first baseman to get that many steals. In fact, did they say 76? Seems to me Carew was still playing second base then.
No, he was playing first base by then, I believe.
I'm not sure, Joe.
But you're usually more correct about that than I am. But
what do you know? You were busy hitting .320 that.
Well, the only reason I say it is because I remember going to the All-Star game and I thought he had moved to first base at that time.
Well, it could well be.
I thought I remembered getting a single one day off of Vida Blue and standing at first base talking to Rod Carew.
Come on, are you kidding me? A single against Vida Blue never happened. Wouldn't have happened earlier in Vida's career.
No. He was an old man by then. I think he's about 22. He'd already won the Cy Young and the MVP award by that time.
Yeah, 1971, Vida Blue was as close to untouchable as a pitcher gets. Todd Zio with a count of 1-1. High in the air to left. Mitchell had started back. Now comes in. And that is out number 2 here in the 7th inning. Back to the bag at first will go Jeffries.
Jeffries had a false start on that particular pitch. He was going to try to steal, but his foot kind of slipped at first base, and he didn't get the jump that he wanted. So you're going to have to take a look at him at first base and watch him a little closer. See, he wants to go, but he didn't get a good jump.
Mark Whitten back in the ballpark where he made baseball history last September. There goes Jeffries. Oh, it's a fair ball, and what a play by Morris. The sign is retired. 7th inning stretch time at Riverfront Stadium. The pinch hitter will be coming up with Fernandez and Larkin to follow as Hal Morris gets them off their seats here in Cincinnati. I'm John Miller along with Joe Morgan, and you say to yourself, why are those guys smiling? Well, it's because I went into the clubhouse tonight. Ozzie Smith said, hey, John, nice tie. Hey, and Ozzie, one of the best dressers in the game.
You're right.
So that's quite a compliment. Now, Joe, tomorrow we're going to be seeing Griffey in the first game, Albert Bell, and then Barry Bonds in the second game. Some of the great stars in the game today on ESPN.
Well, I'm looking forward to it because the season gets underway with the rest of the teams tomorrow. And actually, I'll be in San Francisco watching Barry Bonds and the rest of the Giants and the Pirates.
Here's Jeff Branson pinch hitting against the new pitcher, Vicente Palacios. So Tewksbury's out of there. And Branson pinch hitting for Johnny Ruffin. And that's a foul ball back. 0-2 the count to Branson. There is Vicente Palacios. Spent last year in the Mexican League. He's been up and down in the big leagues before.
I think the last time he was in the major leagues was with the Pittsburgh Pirates.
There is Brian Jordan in right field. So Jordan's going to hit in the 9th spot, and Palacios will hit in Witten's number 5 spot. So Palacios is due up 9th the next time around the order. There's our famous ESPN bunnies. Seen every Easter on Sunday Night Baseball. That's a foul off to the left by Branson. Actually, that's a joke. We have nothing to do with these guys, and I don't know anything about
where they come from.
So they wanted to get on TV tonight, and they did.
And they will probably have this chance next year at the same time.
Yeah, I just hope they're there when we need them. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Now, we're in the late innings. It's the 7th inning. And both of these ball clubs with a shot maybe to win this newly formed National League Central. Both ball clubs have a problem right now in that neither one knows exactly what reliever they're going to use to close out ball games. The Cardinals had Lee Smith last year. Now he's with Baltimore. And, of course, the Reds have had Rob Dibble, a dominating closer, but he had terrible problems last year, and he's on the disabled list right now after having terrible problems all spring. He's just not right. Joe Torre, at this point, would probably use Mike Perez as his closer most of the time, but he's not really set on him or anybody at this point. The Reds, too, will go with the bullpen by committee. That is Jeffries, and Branson is out number 1. Cardinal bullpen going with 11 pitchers right now. The 3 lefties. Rich Rodriguez just picked up from the Marlins. A lot of people were surprised that the Marlins cut him loose. And you see Perez along with Habian and Palacios from the right side. Palacios in there right now. Leadoff man Tony Fernandez is up. 0 for 3. And that's a strike. Now, last year in the World Series, in a 6-game World Series. I mean, we remember Joe Carter, what he did, and all of the great things that Dykstra did, but it was Fernandez who drove in more runs than any other player on either team. He had 9 RBIs.
He had a great World Series. Seemed like he was always getting the key hit that the Toronto Blue Jays needed. He and Paul Molitor, of course. Molitor just gets hits all the time.
And speaking of hits, Tony Fernandez has his first as a Red. Cincinnati's 8th hit. 1 out, 1 on, and here's Barry Larkin.
Well, this is Tony Fernandez at his best. Ball's down and out over the plate. He just slaps it over the third baseman's outstretched glove. But you can see they play him towards left field, so he was only able to get a single out of that.
Now, 2 years ago, Fernandez hit leadoff for the San Diego Padres and had a very fine season, hitting in front of Gwynn and Sheffield and McGriff, who all had very fine seasons that year. The Padres were one of the most exciting clubs in the league that year. Fernandez at the top of the order. Here is Barry Larkin, 0 for 2 with a walk tonight. Cardinals lead the Reds 6-4, last of the 7th. Powell off the right field line. 1 ball, 1 strike to Barry Larkin here. By the way, we will be in San Diego next Sunday night. We'll be seeing the Florida Marlins back for their 2nd year. The Marlins with Orestes Destrade, Jeff Conine. It looks like Charlie Huff will be on the mound on Sunday.
Don't forget Gary Sheffield.
Charlie Huff started his career before you did, Joe.
Not quite.
2-1 the count to Larkin. Charlie Huff. Don't forget who?
Gary Sheffield.
Oh, yeah, Gary Sheffield. But with the Marlins now.
Right.
And he moved to right field.
How quickly you forget. I mean, he almost won a Triple Crown 2 years ago.
And he is determined to have a big season this year. He was hurt a lot last year. 2-1 to Larkin. And down to second base goes Fernandez. That one off the glove of Pappas. It is a wild pitch.
Difficult to step in and replace a Gold Glover, but that ball should have actually been caught. Tom Pagnozzi, the Gold Glove winner from the Cardinals, is on the disabled list, and Pappas is doing a good job under the circumstances.
Second wild pitch thrown by Cardinal pitchers tonight. The starter, Tewksbury, went 6 innings, allowed 4 runs, 3 earned. He gave up 7 hits. He had 2 walks. Incredibly so. I've never seen him so wild. And a wild pitch. Runner at second. 1 out. 3-1 to Larkin. And a foul ball, 3-2. By the way, last year, Tewksbury, and the year before, in each year, he walked only 20 for the whole season. He walked more than 8 times in the last 2 years combined. 3-2 the count to Barry Larkin. Base hit, come in a run. It's a walk. And Palacios is in a lot of trouble now with 2 men on, 1 man out. Hal Morris coming up and Kevin Mitchell right behind him. So far, the Cardinal bullpen is quiet.
Well, John, these types of situations will be the make or break situations for the Cincinnati Reds this year. If Hal Morris can hit and drive in some runs, then the Reds can be successful. But again, if all the pressure falls on Mitchell, it's going to be awfully difficult for the Reds to have an outstanding season. Hal Morris has never driven in over more than 59 runs, and that was his best season in 1991 when the Reds won the World Championship.
Well, if he's going to hit third a whole lot this year, he's going to have to do better than that.
Yes, that's the point.
2 on, 1 out. A strike from Palacios. Morris, as you see there, He hit 280 with men in scoring position. The problem is it 280 for a guy who doesn't hit home runs?
Right.
Doesn't translate into that many runs very often. There is Fernandez at second base. Larkin at first, both with excellent speed. One out. Too high. He almost went. Just did hold up. Well, that Cardinal bullpen is going to get to work again now. A left-hander and a right-hander hustling down to the right-hander John Habian and number 46 the lefty Rob Murphy. 1-1 to Morris. Strike 2.
John, I don't want to give anyone the impression that you have to hit home runs to drive in runs, but you do have to hit some extra, have some extra base hits. You have to be able to find some gaps to drive in a lot of runs. And Morris is just not he does not have a high slugging percentage.
Well, he had 18 doubles last year. They chased that one up around his shoulders, but it will go back out of play, so he's still alive. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Yeah, I mean, if he hits 7 or 8 home runs and hits 40 doubles,
yeah, exactly.
That's one thing.
You know, this is a typical situation. He doesn't have to hit a home run to tie the score, but he does have to find the gap. He has to, hit the ball in one of the gaps in order for the runner from first to score.
And that outfield, speaking of that, is kind of bunched a little bit towards center, trying to cut down the gaps a little bit. And you see the left fielder, Gilkey, the right fielder, Jordan, both playing well off their respective foul lines. And Langford virtually straight away in center. 1-2 to Morris. Mitchell on deck. 1 out. Got him swinging.
Good tailing fastball from Palacio.
Well, the inning's not over yet.
Well, watch this pitch. It really tails away. Good fastball out on the outer part of the plate. And Morris kind of lunges at it. Good pitch.
And the ovation is for Kevin Mitchell. And an injury-plagued year, which is what he's mostly remembered for last year. When he played, he was something else. He hit .341. 2 on, 2 out. 6-4. The Cardinals ahead. Ball 1. Now, I would imagine that Palacios wants to stay away from Mitchell.
Yeah.
Wants to keep him in the ballpark here. Mitchell is the possible go-ahead run. 2 on, 2 out. Again, away. This time, low and away. 2-0.
Another thing that Mitchell doesn't get credit for, John, is setting up pitchers well. He is not a free swinger, as most sluggers are. He makes sure that he gets a pitch that he thinks he can handle. He waits. He's very patient at the plate.
Too low. Johnny Fernandez, who hit a single, is at second base. Barry Larkin, who walked, is at first base. Both ready to go on anything with 2 down in the 7th inning. The Reds down by 2.
Question is, if you're Davey Johnson, do you let him swing away here?
Yes, yes. 1,000 times yes. Too high. Now they're loaded, and the possible tying run is in scoring position. And Reggie Sanders, who homered his last time, is coming up. And Joe Coleman, the pitching coach, sent out by a certainly worried Joe Torre to the mound.
I'm sure, we have to go back and clarify the fact that Davey Johnson did get kicked out of the game, but I know he's someplace watching a monitor.
Giving instructions. I guess Bob Boone is probably the acting manager.
Or Ray Knight.
Ray Knight's the third base coach. But you see them on the bench there looking through that lineup card. And that's Bob Boone with the pen. Reggie Sanders coming up, and the fans start a Reggie chant. Reminiscent of Yankee Stadium with a different Reggie many years ago. Well, it's on the line right now. Base hit could tie the game. 2 down, bases loaded.
He wasn't trying to get a base hit to tie the game. He was trying to get all 3 runners home and himself. Good swing there.
He was trying to do what you're supposed to do when they chant Reggie.
Exactly. And you have one free swing. He took it.
Time taken.
If you're a hitter and the bases are loaded, you look for a pitch in a zone and just try to really drive it someplace.
One ball, one strike to Reggie Sanders. There's Fernandez at third base. Larkin, the possible tying run at second base. And Mitchell at first base. A moment for Reggie Sanders. Too quick for him again. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
This is a situation he's had 2 good cuts, but now with 2 strikes, he has to put the ball in play. You have to cut down on your swing, maybe even wait a little longer, but you have to put the ball in play.
Three men on. Here it comes. He wasted it. High and away. 2-2. Roberto Kelly on deck. He would be next. This will be Vicente Palacios' 30th pitch of the inning. Joe Torre rooting him on. Here it comes. Popped up foul, and it's yours, Joe. Right back toward us. And a fan right down below caught it.
Well, that's why he brought his glove to the game.
Guy wearing a Cleveland Browns jacket down there. Too high. And so, Palacios has gone as far as he can go. And all around Riverfront Stadium, they're starting to feel it. Everyone's standing. Perhaps the game's key moment coming up. They'll all be running. Fernandez, Larkin, and Mitchell. There they go. Struck him out. And the bases are left loaded. Palacios with 2 big strikeouts here. One of Morris. And then to end the inning with Reggie Sanders. 3 men left on base. We're going to the 8th inning now. Still 6-4 Cardinals.
Please be seated. The performance is about to begin. The 32-valve, 280-horsepower Lincoln Mark 8. It's like Beethoven with an attitude. Drive everything else first.
Inning number 8, ESPN Sunday Night Baseball from Cincinnati. The first game of the 1994 season. Everybody else will get started the next couple of days. But just for you, we've got 1 ball game to get it all started here, to get our 5th season of Sunday Night Baseball started. Bernard Gilkey against the new Cincinnati pitcher, Jeff Brantley, former San Francisco Giant right-hander. One time was a closer for the Giants.
He was a closer.
Might be doing some of that for Davey Johnson, at least until Dibble gets back. 2-1 the count to Bernard Gilkey, who is 2 for 3. Let's see what Brantley did last year. He did some starting last year and some relieving.
And he had some good years for the Giants. As middle relief and also as a stopper.
Roberto Kelly, left center. Gilkey is retired. 1 away in the 8th inning. Tomorrow night, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, outside the lines. We'll take a look at Michael Jordan's dream to play Major League Baseball. Bob Lee hosts this Outside the Line special tomorrow night, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, on ESPN. What's interesting is Luis Alicea comes up. And Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player of all time and one of the great athletes in the world, and he comes to play baseball. It provoked a lot of comment, and I can certainly see some of the negative feelings because in a way it was preposterous. On the other hand, Joe, that's not the way I feel. I was excited to see him give it a shot, and I'm rooting for him to do something, but I think it also shows just how difficult this game is. The world's greatest athlete, or one of them, certainly the greatest basketball player, steps into a baseball uniform, and it doesn't just happen for him right away. It's a tough game.
Well, personally, you know, and I have a personal involvement there, I guess, but I don't see any problem. I never thought it was anything other than him trying to realize a dream, as they're going to show him outside the lines, because he felt like he was a pretty good baseball player in high school, and now he had the opportunity to try.
Hey, if he was taking away time from some White Sox players who are going to play a role in this season, or something like that, or if they just gave him a spot on the big league roster outright, that would be different. But they didn't do that.
Correct.
Gene Lamont got everybody the at-bats he wanted to get him. That's a foul, not a play, off to the left. Still 3-2.
But I think he's also shown that it was not just a joke, because he did not make the statement, if I don't make it to the big leagues, I quit. I mean, he's willing to go to the minor leagues, which tells you a lot about his character. So I'm like you. I'm pulling for him. But it is very difficult to hit major league pitching, even if you've been playing for a long period of time, notwithstanding the fact you've only been doing it for the last 9 months now.
Ball 4, Alicea draws a one-out walk here in the 8th inning. But Jordan, although he'd been a fan, he followed the game and had this lifelong interest in baseball. Found out all of the things that he didn't know about the game. At one time he struck out against a certain pitcher. He got back to the dugout, and his teammates started asking him, Michael, was that fastball, did he give you the 2-seamer or the 4-seamer? And Jordan looked at him and said, are you kidding? He had no idea what they were talking about. Frank Thomas, Robin Ventura gave him a lesson right there on the bench about the different things pitchers can do to a ball and what to look for. He had no idea that they had things called 2-seamers and 4-seamers or any of that stuff. He also said that he thought baseball maybe was kind of a sedentary game, but he said playing it and watching what these guys do, he realizes what fine athletes they are. Runner going, the throw is there, and the tag is made. Barry Larkin tags out Alicea on a strong throw by Oliver.
Well, Joe Oliver gets a good pitch to throw on. Brantley's a high fastball, and he gets rid of it very quickly, right on the money. Alicea tried to slide away, but nice tag by Barry Larkin.
Pappas now with a count of 2-1. Must have been a hit and run play. Swung at the pitch. 2 down, nobody on in the 8th inning. Reds lead 6-4. And that's ball 3. Well, it'll be interesting to watch Michael Jordan's odyssey through the minor leagues. And I'll be rooting for him. How can you? I mean, you can't root against him. I mean, you can say maybe he shouldn't. It's anybody's prerogative to disagree with it, but you have to root for him. Unless you're the guy that would have been the right fielder at Double-A for the for the White Sox if he hadn't gone there. Well, that's another walk. Pappas drawing the walk from Brantley here. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Major League Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball. 32,803, the paid crowd here. And I mean, a very, very cold night. 36 degrees it was back in the 2nd inning. And I have a feeling it's not warming up. Here's Brian Jordan. Now, this is a two-sport guy. Big star in the NFL with the Atlanta Falcons. Played the same defensive unit with Deion Sanders there. Both went to the Pro Bowl. He's out of Baltimore. But he has put up some numbers now. Last year, got up to a poor start. They sent him to the minors, worked hard, made some adjustments, came back, and then went crazy.
Well, he decided he was going to be a baseball player, so he gave up the NFL.
Hit 309 for the year. They say of the 3 outfielders, he is the best defensively right now. You see, he didn't hit at all in 92.
Well, in 92, he was having a lot of problems with the curveball. And he spent a lot of time working on the curveball, and he learned to handle it a lot better.
Hit .337 after he got back to the minor leagues. Second half of the year. Twice he hit 2 homers in a game. The season got cut short in early September. He had to have arthroscopic surgery on his shoulder. Ooh, tough pitch there by Bradley. That's the inning. 1 man left. Still 6-4. St. Louis. Roberto Kelly coming up. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is brought to you by Jaguar. For a catalog of all the 1994 models and the name of your nearest dealer, call 1-800-4JAGUAR. And by Sega, makers of Genesis, Color Game Gear, Sega CD, and the fastest, coolest video games ever. And that's the view from the Family Channel blimp, which has a capacity for 4 riders, plus a pilot. The blimp is being guided today by pilot Rafael Arroyo, the Family Channel blimp. High over the proceedings here at Riverfront Stadium. Roberto Kelly facing Vicente Palacios, and he takes a strike with a breaking ball. Kelly has single home run. He's hit another single, and he has walked. Been aboard 3 times. Steele, there's a foul home run. What a shot. And he blasted that one, but it was very much foul. 0-2 the count. You know, Joe, even when they're fouled, I like to see him hit balls like that. What a shot. The problem is you get a guy who only hits foul ball home runs. There's a lot of guys who lead the league in home runs that don't count like that. 0-2 to Roberto Kelly. He'll be followed by Brett Boone and then Joe Oliver in the 8th inning. The pitcher due up 4th in this inning. On the corner, strike 3. 3rd strikeout for Palacios.
And he's really using his fastball well. I mean, he's hitting the edges with it. You see Papa set up outside. He doesn't move the glove at all. Nice pitch there by Palacios.
This is Brett Boone. Ball 1. Boone is 1 for 3, single, back in the 6th inning. Vicente Palacios, 30 years of age, from Mataloma, Mexico. Wow. Boone chased one up around his shoulders that time. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Again, with a long swing, he can't handle that ball inside and up. No way.
Too low, 2-1. Palacios is truly a journeyman. Been pitching professionally since 1982. Was released by the Padres during spring training last year, and then ended up in the Mexican League all summer. Broken bat right back to Palacios. Both the ball and almost the bat. 2 down. Yeah, that bat is off to bat heaven.
Palacios saws him off inside. The bat just splinters.
Going to get a pinch hitter now in the 8th inning. 2 down. Thomas Howard. Now, you know, this is a spot where, I mean, obviously they'd like to generate some runs here, but they'd also like to just get somebody on to get past the pitcher's spot and at least lead off with their leadoff hitter in the next inning, which would really give them their best shot to get a rally going.
And try to get to Kevin Mitchell again. You're right.
He'd be due up 4th if they could get to Fernandez to start the next inning. So Howard's job, just any way possible, get on base here. Switch hitter batting left-handed, and Willie Green has come out on deck. He would pinch hit for Brantley. 2 down. That's a strike to the knees. There is Chuck McElroy, the former Cub. I think McElroy and Brantley are really going to solidify this bullpen. A lot of experience there. A ball and 2 strikes now. Cardinals ahead, 6-4, last of the 8th inning. They get all of their runs in the first 5 innings against Jose Rijo. Last year, Vicente Palacios, I mean, here he is looking very strong on Sunday Night Baseball. Last year, he was with the Yucatan Lions and the Aguas Calientes Railroadmen. Tossed a no-hitter during the semifinals of the Mexican Winter League playoffs.
Well, he hasn't. Well, I guess he did give up a hit to Tony Fernandez. I'll say he hasn't given up a hit here in the 2 innings.
Fernandez got the little hit, kind of punched it down the left field line. Otherwise, he's had 3 strikeouts. Did walk 2. Probably not such a bad idea that he walked Mitchell, though, back in the 7th inning.
Exactly.
I mean, on the one hand, you say, well, he puts the go-ahead run on base and all of that, but if Kevin Mitchell could be the go-ahead run at the plate, maybe even, you know, much more real sense than being at first base. 3-2 the count. Straight back, 3-2. Now, he walked Mitchell to load the bases in the 7th, but struck out Reggie Sanders. Well, so once he started behind Mitchell, at least he got to start with a fresh count on Sanders. Well, he's making some pretty good pitches in good spots there. Vicente Palacios. We head to the 9th inning. Top of the order for the Cardinals. Up at 9. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan. And the Cardinals lead the Reds 6-4 as Jeff Brantley throws ball 1 to Cardinals leadoff man Ray Lankford, who led off the game with a home run tonight. That's how the 1994 season started. He's 2 for 4 with 2 batted in. Bluffs the bunt, takes a strike. New catcher in there for Cincinnati, Brian Dorsett, after Oliver was lifted for a pinch hitter. Brantley, the 3rd pitcher of the game for the Reds. Rijo, Ruffin, and Brantley. This is Brantley's 2nd inning of work. Ozzie Smith is on deck. Greg Jeffries due up 3rd. Smash down the right field line. Sanders plays the carom, and Lankford makes it into 2nd with a double. Sanders got it back in a hurry. Lankford needed all of his speed to get his double and the 3rd hit of the game for Lankford.
Well, Lankford is really swinging the bat well tonight. I mean, he just hits this ball so hard that Marsh doesn't have time to react. It wasn't that far from him, but it was just ripped right past him. Good play in right field by Sanders, but Lankford runs so well, no chance to hold him to a single.
Well, the Cardinals with a chance to extend their lead now. Here's Ozzie to try and get Lankford over to 3rd. And he will do so. Brantley just getting Ozzie by a step at first. Nice bunt there by Ozzie Smith, who is 1 for 4. Now with a sacrifice. Runner at 3rd. 1 out. And Jeffries, then Zeal coming up. The Cardinals with Mike Perez, the man who's going to be the closer. At least that's the early plan. And I say closer. He won't even then always be the closer. He is warming up in the St. Louis bullpen. The infield is in for the Reds, already trailing by 2. There's Perez. Ball 1 to Greg Jeffries, who is 2 for 4. The Cardinals have 11 hits in the game. You'll see the infield drawn in all the way around. Lankford's got 3 hits. Jeffries 2 hits. Gilkey 2 hits. Of course, probably the biggest hit of the night was turned in by Bob Tewksbury in the 4th inning with 2 down and 2 on in the game tie. He blasted a 2-run double to center field over the head of Kelly. Now they're going to go ahead and walk Jeffries, the switch hitter, and try and get the double play against the right-handed batting Todd Zeal, who awaits his turn on deck.
Kind of interesting that you do that, because Zeal led the Cardinals last year in runs batted in. But of course, when you're down by 2 runs, you can't afford to give up any more, so you try to get out of it with 1 ground ball.
Bob Boone, the acting manager, Davey Johnson, ejected back in the 5th inning of this game. Zeal 1 for 4 tonight. He singled in the 5th and scored a run. National League Central. It's going to take a little getting used to the new divisions of baseball. Leading the standings in the morning is going to take some time now. the other Central teams will get started. The Cubs will be hosting the Mets at Wrigley Field. The Astros will host Montreal at the Astrodome. Pittsburgh will be at San Francisco. Pittsburgh is in the Central Division now. Zane Smith will go against John Burkett at Candlestick Park. You'll be able to see that at 4 o'clock on ESPN, the second half of the doubleheader. Strike one to Todd Zeile. The Dodgers will be opening tomorrow. The Dodgers with a lot of high hopes because Darryl Strawberry had such a fine spring. However, there's a mystery surrounding Darryl right now. He did not show up for a ball game against the Angels today, part of the Freeway Series they play every spring. And the Dodgers apparently do not know why he didn't show up, and they cannot find out even where he is. No word on the whereabouts of Darryl Strawberry. And the Sports Center, which follows the ball game right after the game, Sports Center coming up, will have the latest information on that. So stay tuned.
Well, I think if the Dodgers, go into the season healthy with Strawberry and the other players that they've acquired, they have a chance of making an interesting National League Western Division race.
Delino DeShields at the top of the order, then Brett Butler, great table setters, as they used to say in baseball, and then the extraordinary Mike Piazza, Strawberry, healthy, and then Eric Karros. That's got a chance to score a lot of runs right there. They got this great rookie, looked great in the spring, Raul Mondesi, enormous talent, Tim Wallach, and they always seem to pitch well, the Dodgers. That is strike 3 call. Brantley strikes out Zeile, and now a pinch hitter coming up. It's going to be Gerald Perry, the Cardinals pinch hitter deluxe.
Good fastball on the inside part of the plate. Caught Zeile looking. Zeile was looking for something out over the plate so he could go the other way, it seemed like. But good pitch on the inside from Brantley.
You see what Perry did last year. He had one of the great years a pinch hitter has had for the Cardinals. Now, with Perry coming up a lefty, they've got McElroy up in the bullpen, and Bob Boone, the acting manager, out to the mound. McElroy heating up. Eric Gregg, the first base umpire, walking down the right field line, waiting for Boone to make the signal, but Boone never does. Perry, as you saw, had the great year as a pinch hitter, and Perry is the third on the all-time Cardinals list for pinch hitters. You're 47. Ball one. He tied the Cardinals' single-season pinch hit record last year with 24. You know the man who had set that record for the Cardinals? Vic Davalillo. When I think of Jose Cardinal, I kind of always think of Vic Davalillo, too. We're in the same era.
Davalillo was an extraordinary hitter. I mean, he could just walk up there and hit the ball any place he wanted to, it seemed like.
Left-handed hitter, and at one time he was a national hero in Venezuela. 1 ball, 1 strike. Gerald Perry, first and third. He drills this one. Kelly is there. Last chance for the Reds. Pinch hitter, then Fernandez and Larkin. Mitchell due up 6-4 Cardinals. Last chance for the Reds. We go to the last of the 9th.
And here's Palacios striking out Reggie Sanders with the bases loaded, which was a key pitch for him. Here he strikes out Roberto Kelly on the fastball on the outside corner. And here he gets Thomas Howard. All of these, he was pitching out of a jam, and they were strikeouts at the perfect time.
Had 4 strikeouts in 2 innings, and now he gives way to Mike Perez. And they're hoping that Perez has grown into the role of stopper, the closer in the bullpen. Willie Green, the pinch hitter. He striked over the outside. 0-2 the count to Willie Green. Now, the Reds did very poorly with their pinch hitters last year. And tonight, their pinch hitters have already gone 0 for 3. has put together 2 very strong years. And 2 years ago, he was particularly outstanding, but also a very fine record last year. But it's sometimes a little bit different to be called upon in 7th and 8th innings to hold the lead than to be handed the ball in the 9th and they say, hey, it's all up to you. It's up to you, kid. Went to San Jose City College and also at Troy State University. And he has a strikeout. Willie Green is gone.
Well, he just follows in the steps of Palacios and strikes out Green. Green is somebody that the player that I feel will be playing third base on a regular basis before the season is over for the Reds.
Joe Torre, the big question for Torre's ball club was the pitching. Number one, was the rotation going to be strong enough? But also, a lot of questions about closing games out of that bullpen. Tony Fernandez, first ball swinging. Ozzie Smith throws him out. 2 men gone. Fernandez now 1 for 5, and Barry Larkin is the last hope for the Reds. Bob Tewksbury, it's his game to win. Jose Rijo in line for the loss here. Opening night in Cincinnati on a cold, I mean real cold night. 36 degrees the last time we looked. And Joe and I just said, don't look anymore. 2 down, nobody on. Slider down and away. Mike Perez from Puerto Rico. Played baseball down there in high school and also volleyball. 1 ball and 0 strikes.
One of the things we've seen tonight, we talked about at the beginning of the show, was that the St. Louis Cardinals could score runs. I mean, they scored runs off of Jose Rijo, who is one of the best starters in the National League. And these are some players who put the ball in play, and I think that's the key over the whole course of the whole entire season, putting the ball in play and using all your outs. Plus, they have enough speed, and they're hoping to have enough power to offset the fact that their starting rotation is not going to be that good.
Speaking of power, there was Ray Langford, who had a home run starting the season, plus a single and a double. Big slugger for the Cardinals tonight, along with Bob Tewksbury, whose 2-out, 2-run double in the 4th inning put the Cardinals ahead. The lead they have not given up. Down the right field line, foul. And now the Cincinnati Reds have 1 strike of life left to them on this night. Game 1. Only 161 to go for the Reds and Cards after tonight. Hopefully most of them will be warmer than tonight. Perez needs 1 more strike. And he got it. And this one goes to the Cardinals 6-4 over the Cincinnati Reds on opening night 1994. Thanks for joining us tonight, and get out to your ballpark tomorrow. Everybody else will open tomorrow, including the Mariners and the Indians at New Jacobs Field, which you'll be able to see on ESPN, and the Pirates and Giants from Candlestick at 4. Next week, we will be in San Diego. The Florida Marlins and the San Diego Padres, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. That does it from Cincinnati. Now, this is John Miller for Joe Morgan. Good night, everyone.